Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode 3 of the podcast. Recorded live at Suds Tavern, this is the Bronco Alumni Show on the Suds Sports Network.
What else? What else are we doing here? Oh, we're gonna do a recap. I'm gonna start talking about. Hold on. Welcome back. This is the third episode of the podcast. We never even thought we'd make it this far, but we've actually posted 2 episodes, and we've had a few listeners. We've had some feedback directly, but not a lot of feedback indirectly. So if you could just leave like the mean comments on the YouTube page, that'd be helpful. Let's see. We have decided we're not very good with stats, me included, or pulling stats out of your head. So I apologize. I've got some corrections. If you listened to the first 2 episodes, I'd like to apologize for. One of them, pretty blatant, is Boise State has been to 3 Fiesta Bowls, so that's been pointed out to me several times.
Once as a 3-loss team, correct?
That is correct. I said no undefeated team, so that goes. Yeah, that was not a good one. Last week on episode 2, I think. I said Boston College won by 1 point, and they won by 6 points. So,
6.
Hey, at least we're going back to look it up. At least we're doing the work after the show, if not before. So, still looking for a fact checker.
You were only off by like 84%.
Yeah, that's it.
That's not that bad.
Still hiring for a fact checker, if anybody cares. Or you could just come down here and yell at us, when you get the facts wrong. So
yeah, please forward your resume to Ross, care of Ross Byrne at Suds. Just get at us.
That's correct. The executive producer should deal with that. All right. He's got more invested in it than us anyway. No?
Oh, no. I think we're about equal now.
I think, yeah. We're partners.
Yeah.
So this is a partnership here now.
Yeah, we're good.
We're we should say why we're here, right? I mean, not really, but
today we're going to be doing our half-assed attempt at a college football season roundup, if you will. Tomorrow is the day of the national championship game. We will not be posting this live, but we're just trying to get it out, as like a companion with the national championship game.
That's correct. So if they go like the semifinal games and you're bored after the first quarter,
oh Jesus,
you can listen to. Hey, if you like bull crap, right? You watch the semifinal games and you're getting sick of this championship game. Put us on. I mean, yeah.
I know we can't be any worse than any ESPN announcer crew.
That's correct. We can't be any worse than the effort Notre Dame and or Oklahoma put up last week. I mean, we can't find 4 good teams. I don't know.
Maybe they should have increased the pool so doesn't come down so much to the selection committee, because that's what it's all about now.
That's true. You get the 8-team playoff. At least maybe we'll get a good game in the whole playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, the NFL, there's some clunkers in the playoffs, but they usually get 1 or 2. Everybody likes to watch, so I guess we'll see. I could be eating these words tomorrow and that's the greatest game since the last time Clemson came back.
Why don't we just cancel all the other football programs around the country and just watch the SEC every week? We'll just watch them beat the shit out of each other.
That was one of my theories, actually, why don't we just do a tournament with all the SEC teams that don't get selected? Because it would be not even all, just take like the next 6 or 8 out of the SEC. That would be amazing postseason football. Even if you took the next 4 and just did 2 weeks, this is like the, in your fantasy football, this is the consolation bracket. Everybody should get to play. All right.
So we're going to post pictures of this episode, and we'd love you to comment with which mic stand looks the best. We're going to have a contest because we're probably going to go uniform mic stands eventually for, continuity and all that shit.
That's true. We're becoming and if you really care and you're paying that much attention in the pictures, it's new mic day. So yeah, they all match.
Ooh,
that's right.
Slick.
Boom, boom, boom. We look like a real show, just for a minute, till we open our mouths. Uh-oh, somebody's playing with their fancy mic. Somebody thinks their mic is better than my mic. I guess it's the way it's presented, the package.
I don't think my mic is better. I just think you have mic envy.
I don't have any mic envy. I just have a beautiful voice. It just flows into the mic. It says things that are incorrect.
Okay, it's one of two situations, I'd say. Either you have mic envy or I have microphone hubris.
I would go with hubris over there. Yeah, hubris is definitely what's going on over there. I mean, your microphone has a jock strap on it. It's freaking yeah, that's what that is. It's a protective little cage around there.
I mean, look, I could bump it. You can't even hear that.
All right.
You can't even hear it.
Let me try. Hold on.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah, very minimal.
Look at that. Watch that, John. Watch. Did you hear that?
Yeah, basically, if you need a visual here, if you ride a bike, you ride a bike, and if you need training wheels on the bike, you use training wheels. So that's something extra, and people use that.
Yep. And when you're a baby, you get a mic with one gear, and then when you're old enough to go fast, you get multiple. So there you go.
All right. Well, either way, I don't know.
Hey, Ross.
Yeah. Hey, there goes Ross, executive producer. And just like an executive producer, turns his back on us and
Walks away. Takes a drink and walks away.
He definitely fits the part, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like, I don't have time for you clowns. Just get the work done.
That was a beer sip break, everybody.
Yeah, that beer sip break was brought to you by Suds.
Come on down to Suds.
Located on Broadway outside the stadium.
Suds Tavern. Come on down to Suds. Drink specials every day.
They're giving away free beer right now, but you're listening to this on a podcast, so you missed it, man.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
It was yesterday. Free beer yesterday. You guys missed it.
All day. Yep.
I'd like me a splash of whiskey to wash the trail dust off in my gullet and keep my singing voice in fettle.
This is the Bronco Alumni Show on the Sud Sports Network.
Okay. Episode 3 of the Bronco Alumni Show on the Suds Sports Network, brought to you by Suds, featuring your hosts, Jason Turner and John Hanigan. Today, our special guest is Andre Banks. Andre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome.
It'll be a fun time.
So, what do you think about this? Okay, so let me back up. The purpose we're having this show today is to do a college football season roundup on thoughts on BSU, college football in general, the playoff system, and
National championship tomorrow night.
Tomorrow's matchup.
We're a day ahead of it, so we're a little early. Might
So-
even get it posted before the game. Who knows?
So we're going to start with a real general question: the evolution of the college football playoff and the national championship game is happening right before our eyes. We have currently like a 4-game system. So, Dre, how do you feel they're doing it this year?
They did it the way they're supposed to with the 4 teams, But I mean, me personally, I don't think you can take 140 some odd D1 teams and say there's 4 teams that humans are staring at and taking an eyeball test and saying they're the best.
Yeah, there needs to be more teams in the pool. Basically.
Yeah, right. Like, the way I see it is 4 teams sounds good, but that's just the big boys trying to keep the money in their own pockets, for so to speak. But the way I look at it, if you have 5 power conferences, how you cut out 1, and then some years they've put in 2 from the same conference, SEC, and you're excluding 2 conferences right there. You have teams like Boise State, you have teams like UCF that have proven that they can compete at a high level, especially in the bowl season, and they're cutting those teams out without a chance of playing. But they have their little brother, college basketball, that has teams like Butler that make it to 2 consecutive Final Fours. So
That's a good point.
the way I look at it is, if you expand the playoff, you're going to get more revenue, because that's what they really care about. You're going to get teams traveling. You're going to get more eyeballs. You have people that love the underdog story, which Boise State has proven time and time again in the Fiesta Bowls that they've been to, so.
Yeah. I mean, and you could cut down costs by kind of following that college basketball format of having
Yeah,
two
yeah.
games at the same venue, you know.
Yo, absolutely. Double headers
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
You know? And you can charge more for ticket prices because I'll sit there for 7 hours and watch 2 football games
Man,
without question.
sounds like heaven.
Well, I just want to jump in, Andre. You watched the 2 semifinal games. Did you notice that 2 teams showed up and 2 teams showed up late, or not at all?
Right. That's another reason why 4 teams in humans, us trying to say, yeah, those are the 4 best. Not really.
Well, I just
You
find
can't tell.
Notre Dame didn't show up at all. Oklahoma, I think, showed up in the second half a little bit, trying to make it a little bit of a game.
Right.
But there's 200 guys get drafted every year. We can't put 10 quality football teams out there. 8.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems like there's a lot more talent out there than they're exploring.
I totally agree. I feel like the 4 teams, too, is also just trying to keep the big boys on top because in a given year, you have teams. I mean, Ball State even had a 13-0 season. So in a given year, you can have a very highly qualified mid-major school or even lower-level Power 5 school like a Kentucky this year that can surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, they balled out in the Citrus Bowl.
Killed it.
Yeah.
And that running back they have is nice.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, there's too many variables in sports, and things are decided on the field or on the court for me to be okay with 4 teams being selected. It's kind of
Especially,
asinine to me.
2 of them are in the same conference, the SEC, like
Right.
namely the SEC. Is
Well,
it?
that goes
do
to
you-
my theory, right?
Do you think that's like indicative of the talent in the SEC, or is it the system?
Well, when I watch college football, the SEC is very talented.
Yes.
But the way teams are scheduling now is different than we did 20 years ago. You don't really get too many big boys on big boys non-conference games. You always have a couple throughout the season.
You
but-
saying they don't want to take the risk? Is
No,
that-
why? I get it. I wouldn't. Why would
yeah, I don't want to play another
If,
power team.
if I'm
yeah.
USC and I have to play 9 conference teams, why am I going to go schedule Alabama in the offseason?
Exactly, yeah.
Why would I do that?
when it could hurt my chances at the end of the year.
Exactly, because I can run the table in my conference, but I lost to Alabama, and now I'm left out. So why not do what the SEC is doing? The SEC is scheduling Southern University and the Citadel and FIU in the middle of their conference season. I mean, so nobody really knows how good the SEC is because all they do is play each other and beat up on each other.
I mean, to be fair, we were that easy team. And
We
back
were.
in 99 and 2000, that people would schedule pre-conference to come in and get the W. So that's been going on forever.
For a very long time.
So-
And then guys got a little scared of Boise State because
Yeah.
we took Arkansas to the brink. They thought they were going to run through us, you know,
To the brink,
And-
to the 1 yard line.
to the last second of the game.
Yeah.
But then you have UCF beats a big boy. They beat Auburn. Boise State beat Oklahoma State. Or Oklahoma, excuse me. So you got, and then, they regular season, they go and beat the crap out of Oregon twice.
That was
Beat Oregon State. So now the guys are like, Nebraska even backed out. Nebraska had a home-and-home with us, and then after we beat Oregon, they pulled the plug and said, here's your money. We're not going to come down there. So
wow.
the big boys understand that we're going to schedule, if we schedule somebody, we're going to schedule Idaho. We're going to schedule San Jose State.
Yeah, you can be a victim of your own success.
Right.
I mean, in fact, that now you're scaring teams.
Yeah.
to-
So now we're stuck with having to play just our conference schedule and hoping to get another equal mid-major school to come play us, And
Yeah,
we're
kinda-
lucky that Florida State has stayed in the contract, so we get to go down to Florida next year and play Florida State, and then hopefully they don't back out before they have to come to Boise. But
yeah, it's usually the MO, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
you bring Boise State in, you play, and then you
Yeah, then
buy
you-
them out, you know,
right.
based on what you made on the game, and we're not going to travel up there. That's the old.
yeah.
It really makes you understand the early 2000s Pat Hill battle cry of anytime, anywhere. We're gonna call you guys out. You guys don't want to come play us, and we're gonna be vocal about
The
it.
mid-majors are way more apt to put their seasons on the line to make their season, essentially, when they play big schools versus the big schools saying, you know what, if I'm TCU, which I love the fact that they actually got in, but they got in because of geographics, because they're in Dallas. But I love that they understand what it is. It's just the NCAA has to make the change, because
I remember
Bama will never, ever schedule UCF.
Yeah, unless forced.
They will never schedule UCF. But they put Citadel on their schedule. They'll never schedule Boise State, because there is the possibility. Yeah, we should win. And when they win, it means nothing. If they lose, it means everything, because now they're out of the playoff. So that's why we'll never see
Nothing to gain by the win. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll never see these matchups anymore. And you got a school like Florida State's down right now, but why would they schedule Wisconsin in the
Well, can you imagine if the NFL worked like this? Like, we're not going to schedule the Patriots next year.
Right.
Ooh, that's a rough one. So we'll just try to put it off, and maybe if they get to the playoffs, like,
we'll schedule
run
the
it.
Jets instead.
Yeah,
What do you think the maximum number of teams in a college football playoff would be?
I think the max will end up being eventually 8 teams.
8.
It might take us a decade to get there, honestly. But I'm in favor of a 12-team playoff.
How do you do 12?
I've wrote it out. I've talked to guys
games?
about it.
Take us through it. Yeah.
So with 12, you get your 5 power conference champs.
Automatic bid.
Automatic bid.
Okay.
Everybody always says college football is the greatest because the regular season matters. Well, it kind of doesn't. Like, let's be real. It really doesn't, because you have a Pac-12 that is really good, and all they do is play each other. But because most of their games are played at 7, 8, 8:30 West Coast time, why would 75% of the riders that are in the East stay up at 11:30 to try to watch a Pac-12 game? They don't know what
Unless
they're watching.
you're, the dominant USC. Unless you're a
Exactly.
dominant team, they have to pay attention.
Yeah,
They
the
don't
only
know.
people seeing those games are in the bar.
Yeah, because guy, I'm telling you, if you watch Cal play, my man Wilcox has those dudes balling. They played out of their minds this year. Leach, as crazy as he is, had Washington State balling. You can't tell me that you know for a fact that they aren't one of the top 4 teams.
Yeah, I
in the
mean, they
country.
could
You
get
don't
hot.
know.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what we say,
you
settle
don't
on
know.
the field.
All
I mean,
it
they
is
could-
how you play at the end of the season. That's what
and
really matters.
schemes, different type, different matchups, different,
Right.
some teams just can't
Matchups
handle.
are matchups are everything. So the way I see it, if you get 5 power conference champs, you get those 5 conferences in there, you win your conference championship, which is your playoff.
Well, that makes the regular season matter.
It makes
too.
it matter.
Yeah.
So now you have a race to win your conference. You get those 5 dudes in, then you get your at-larges. Because you have teams like Georgia, you have teams like LSU, you have teams like Wisconsin, teams like Penn State.
Yeah,
that-
1-loss, 2-loss runner-up
Yeah.
in the division.
Yeah, you might be in a conference in a given year that has 3 great teams. Only one team can win the conference. So you have to throw in at-large bids. Essentially, it's like having a wild
Well,
card.
yeah, it lets great
pro
teams,
sports.
that avenge a loss from early in the season,
Right.
which everyone
Yeah, I
wants
mean,
to see.
Georgia didn't win the SEC last year, and they made it to the championship game.
I just added up right now. I think there's 11 major college football Division I conferences, right?
They have the 5 Power 5.
the Power 5
and
are
then
the
we
only ones
have
that count.
the-
There's like
the
6 others.
mid-majors.
So why
the
not?
Other 6.
If you're doing
yeah.
a 12-game or a 12-team pool, you could do every conference champion.
You could.
and then a wild card.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna get a diluted
yeah.
system.
You get
that way,
diluted.
Then you
I'd
better-
rather see a second or third SEC team over the Liberty Conference or
as
whatever
a fan,
it is.
you
Well,
rather
you
have
just had
that
a-
versus a MAC conference champ. But
a
if the MAC
16th
conference
seed
champ
Butler.
is legit,
A 16th seed Butler.
I agree.
Makes it to the final
Yeah,
four.
yeah,
2
but
years
if
in a
you're
row.
that legit when you win the MAC conference, if you're undefeated, you're gonna be
They're
in
gonna
a-
know.
yeah, you're gonna be
well,
an
then
at-large
what's going to
team.
separate you to get that at-large bid? Because with 11 conferences, there'd be 1 wild card. And who's going to get that? The person who has the best non-conference schedule.
I know, but I'm
Bam.
more
Yeah.
opposed to filling it up with 2-3 SEC teams, and then if
So
you,
you're
if
a
you won your
believer in the
conference
hype.
and you're undefeated, and you
Yeah.
come in you deserve to be in the playoff. But if you won the MAC and you're 8-4, Thank you. You should go to a bowl game, and thank you for participating.
And that's kind
Are
of
they a
why
conference
I kinda,
champion? 8-4 conference champion.
Against who? Against what competition?
Right. And that's where the debate comes in.
Well,
right?
where does Butler play? What's their competition in the NCAA basketball?
Well, I'm pretty
system?
sure when you look at their
They don't play.
like,
They don't play Duke every week.
out of conference schedule, they took on someone
They
big.
do take on guys.
Yeah.
The difference is too
Exactly.
in
the
basketball.
out of conference schedule. That's
we're
exactly
allowed
what I'm saying.
to lose games as a program.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still be considered one of the best teams in the country with 4, 5, 6 losses in college basketball.
Yeah, well, they get 30 games
In
also.
football,
I mean,
you lose a game and they're like trying to burn the school down, depending on where you're at.
It's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, shoot, even at Boise State here, we lose a game and our fan base acts like it's over. The season's a wrap.
Yeah,
and it's like, guys,
they start leaving in the first quarter instead of halftime.
it's insane. And
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, at times I am one of them because I'm more of a believer on how we win versus just winning. Like this past season, I'm not really too big on our season. Our season kind of sucked. if you
Well,
ask
we
me.
started
But-
off good. Had that key loss to Oklahoma State early. That's when people fell off the wagon.
Yep.
And then we had the home loss to San Diego State, which is
brutal.
I'm
That was a
also very
dagger right
unhappy
there.
about that. I mean, we defend the blue, hands down.
That was a brutal loss. I was down on the sideline for that one, and it was even more heart wrenching being on the sideline watching that.
Man,
But would you call? I mean, they reel off 7 straight after that loss. Do you like
Oh,
a
yeah.
galvanizing moment? Maybe
Yeah.
guys, went in the locker room and took a look and said, "Hey,
What I will say is we still didn't win games the way I felt like we should win them, but you could see guys were actually battling and had more desire and heart and some kind of.
what do you
some-
mean
some
by not
grit to
winning them the way you want to win them?
We should have beat the crap out of BYU. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. We should have destroyed them, and we had to hang on a goal line stand at home. Like you said earlier, we defended blue.
Defend the blue.
So the way I look at it is in the game in the first half, when you're supposed to destroy a team, destroy them. Break their will, send them home, make them pray that they never have to play at this stadium again.
Wait,
That's
so-
that's
yeah,
how it needs to be.
they do. A lot
That's
of
how
praying.
it was. And there's guys that play like that. My man, I can't even remember his name, 91, he's a DN.
Jeff Cobb?
Kid, no, current player.
Oh, current player.
91. He is a dog. That kid is a dog. Jabril, number 8, the other D lineman, he's a dog. Weaver is a dog. Like, those guys go.
Mm-hmm.
They got motors. They'll break you.
No break.
linemen don't want to block those dudes.
No breaks.
None. But as a team, the team isn't quite following that blueprint as a team. They play hard and they fight, but there's not that extra level of trying to embarrass somebody. You know what I mean? We don't have that as a
step
as a
on the
full
throat,
squad.
like
yeah,
just put them down, hold them down."
destroy them.
Where does that start from? Is that senior leadership, or does it go higher than that?
There's a extent of it to me that is from the very top, from the athletic director on down. But regardless of who your coach is and who your AD is, it's you.
And
It's you as a player.
and
It's
the guy
you as
next to you.
you as a position group. It's you as a team. If my coach isn't a very good coach and he doesn't fire me up, it's my responsibility to
get
be
fired up.
a dog
Yeah.
and fight and push my teammates. And if we're all pushing each other in the right direction and we're all pushing each other to step on people's throats,
Do you attribute it to the Idaho friendly mentality? Maybe.
no,
Everybody-
because we have 75% of the teams from California.
Right. They have
I
a
see,
deep
I see.
recruiting pool down there.
Oh, those Californians.
We got a
moving
lot
in,
of
yeah.
LA and Texas
Okay.
kids on the roster. We have for about 20, 25
Yeah,
years.
that's
now.
my point, though. Maybe they get here and it's just so nice here. Just so
you know what's
friendly.
funny is I've talked to a lot of former players, a lot of guys I played with, the guys that played before me, and a lot of them are attributed to how nice the facilities are now.
Oh, yeah, like
I mean, I don't know if that holds any weight because I would have loved to have locker room like they have and a
Weight
facility
room?
like that and a weight room.
Are you calling the new trust funders? They maybe
It
don't know what they
kinda-
have.
It might
yeah.
come
They're
across
privileged.
like that. Because we have this blue-collar mentality here. We talk about it. But when we were playing 20 years ago, we had a blue-collar mentality because a lot of us were passed over as recruits. Some of us decided to come here as recruits, could have went to bigger programs. But when we walked into a locker room, it wasn't special. We walked in that weight room, it wasn't special.
Well, I know we've talked about the
know?
nutrition has changed. I mean, there
Oh.
wasn't nutrition when you guys played.
No,
I mean,
it was go to the sub, guys, fill up. I mean, we go to the sub and eat as many chicken fried steak burgers as we could. You know, load up on the mac and
Put
cheese
some
and
weight
ice
on.
cream. Yeah,
yeah.
but now they actually have a true training table. They have great facilities. They have great trainers.
Yeah, and that works for and against you. I
It
mean,
can.
yeah.
It can, and I can see what some of the guys are saying. Oh, it's too nice. They don't know how to grind because
But
we
that-
had one TV in the program and it was a tube. You know what I mean? So
That's like the generation gap, though. Everyone always says the
Oh, yeah.
youngsters got it too good
yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it is. At the end of the day, these kids want to be good football players.
Yeah.
So I just want to see a little more fight from jump. I don't want them to have their backs against the wall before they want to lash out. I want to see them come out of the gate and go. They have coaches on the staff that were in those situations. So I
Yeah.
know those guys like Avalos and Gabe and Harson are talking to them about how things were
Plus,
20 years ago.
I don't think a lot of people in a blowout. There's a lot more. I mean, you're playing freshmen, you're playing younger, getting them experience, and you're building. I mean, a blowout is a lot more than I can pull the starters off the field and get some guys in game situations.
Right.
So I mean, it's down the line too. I mean, it's
It absolutely is. And in talking about the backups, when I played, I felt a responsibility to get my friends in the game. My friends that I knew that weren't going to play a lot.
busting their tail at practice. Yeah.
We all work just
Yeah.
as hard as each other. I mean, just because you're a starter doesn't mean that you work harder than the next guy. You're just better.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. You don't work harder.
Your
There's
practice
guys
is
like
easier.
Brad Chase. Shout out to my man Brad.
Brad
He
Chase.
might have possibly been the most hardworking dude that I've ever seen in the weight room and on the field training. He's a nut job.
Yeah, I had to
That
go against
dude-
Brad every day in practice. He was
Animal.
his scout team defensive end. I
He
saw him
was-
every day.
Yeah, he was an animal.
No plays off.
Dude's motor was nuts. His motor hanging out with you is scary. Like, he's just a dude that just goes. But he didn't play much. But I feel like guys like that deserve to play just as much as
Yeah.
the
So
starter
you
does.
put the other team,
So you as a starter have a responsibility to get that dude in the game. And the sooner that you crush somebody and you put your foot on their throat, the sooner your boy can get in the game and actually reap some of the benefits of his work, you know?
See, that playing time that game time is valuable. It's a commodity. Everybody
Yeah.
wants it, and
Yeah.
and I think that speaks to the team we had, the cohesive group we had, and that we cared about that every member on the team was a valuable piece of the puzzle and was treated as such.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of teams out there have that. I mean, those are the teams that are good. John said this a couple weeks ago. In the NFL, in college, it's the teams that bond together that
Teams
have
that are
that.
close.
Yep.
I have a buddy named Rakeem Toombs, played at San Jose State. Great player. He was a great high school athlete, went to North Torrance High School in L.A. And we talk, and he's always like, man, you guys always talking Bronco Nation this and this bleed blue, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys don't have no Spartan Nation down there? And he's like, man, I talked to like 3 dudes. They don't have what we have.
the network.
No, not even a little bit. The guys that came before me were in the locker room during spring ball. They're on the field. I'm on the field now. I'm in the facilities sometimes. They don't have that same
like returning players and
even the guys that are
Italia.
just there together, that cohesiveness that Jason's talking about isn't in a lot of programs. So we have something special here. I just want the kids to understand that, and the same thing I tell my high school kids that I coach, you're not playing for you. You're playing for every dude down to Lyle Smith that was coached by Lyle Smith. You're playing for every single one of those dudes.
Playing for ghosts.
You're playing for the kid. You're playing for my son who wears a Boise State jersey that's 4 years old. That's who you're playing for. Because when he gets his opportunity to play college football, if he decides to go that route, and he puts himself in a real Boise State uniform on campus, he's going to look back at the 2018 team. He's going to know about that. He's going to hear the stories. He's going to hear about what Lyle Smith did. He's going to see the statue in front of the stadium. You know, he's going to hear Dad and his buddies that he calls uncle. He's going to see some of those clips. He's going to hear some of the stories from people. He's going to hear his mom talk about her being on the sideline during games in college. You know, so these kids have more responsibility, not just themselves. You know what I'm saying? There's a level of respect that they have to have for what came before them, and there's a level of responsibility to continue what happened before them.
Yeah, because 20
and
years.
at the very least, you continue it.
Yeah,
At
20
the
years
high level,
after
you elevate it, right?
Yeah. Well, 20 years after you play, I mean, there's going to be somebody that comes up and says, hey, I was 7 years old.
Yep.
I was in the stands. I remember
Hopefully
you.
your son will hear those stories on this podcast, right?
Yeah, I hope so, right? I mean, I've heard stories of dudes tell me people remembered them. I've been in an airport before, and an older woman in her at least upper 60s was talking to somebody else, not me, but I was ear hustling a little bit. And she was talking about the 2000 team, dropping names, talking about Shenard Hartz and D. Mike and Bart Hendricks.
The team
Jeb
that didn't go
Putzier.
to a bowl game, that was like the down year.
We were low. We had so many dudes that played in
Yeah.
the NFL and the CFL and arena football after that. We were
That was a
loaded.
squad.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, people remember those things.
That was Dan Hawkins' first year.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, people remember that.
Yeah.
We were good. We had guys that played really well. We had 3 or 4 consecutive 10-win seasons for the first time. We were a fairly young Division I program at the time.
Was that the breaking Idaho mold? Was that the?
That was 99.
That was the team that broke the
45-14
streak? Yeah.
up in Pullman because we couldn't play in Moscow because they're trash.
Because Dirk Cutter said right before we went out on the field, it ain't got to be close, guys. It ain't got to be close.
It ain't got to be close.
Never forget that.
Oh, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Those kids are playing for all of that. They're playing for the memory and to elevate the program. You know, I mean, we went from a junior college to where we are now. So there's only a responsibility for you to continue to push.
Can you think of any other school that's climbed the ranks like that, that's played at every level in college football?
There isn't.
No.
That's how special we are.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
No.
There's teams that went from FCS, 1AA, like Appalachian State, that now Georgia Southern also did it. Now they're FBS schools. But they weren't junior colleges.
Never.
Yeah.
No.
And they're still not doing. I mean, they're
And
not
they still
going to
haven't
bowl game.
achieved
Yeah.
half of what Boise State's
Exactly.
achieved. I mean, we've played in 3 Fiesta Bowls. We've had countless amount of draft picks. We've had a countless amount of dudes that got into the league through free agent contracts.
Pretty much, I'm pretty sure the Dallas Cowboys field Boise State's defense.
They just love us.
Yeah.
We're Boise State Junior down
We're
in
trying to
Texas
count. I was
right
watching
now.
the game last night, trying to count how many people are involved. I
Yeah.
mean, especially on the defensive
Involved.
side.
And now we
yeah.
have Kellen as a coach.
I know.
You know, so I mean,
The
but
pipeline.
There's something to be said about starting really at the bottom, at a junior college level, elevating yourself to a Division II school,
Well, it's like a-
elevating yourself to a FCS school, elevating yourself to a FBS school, and then winning at the highest level
Yes.
that you could possibly win at, winning Fiesta Bowls, and now you have draft picks, you have NFL teams.
There's only
and-
one thing left to
and
do,
NFL
right?
players waiting for us to show up into their organization. So that's a big deal, and there is one thing left. Get us in the damn playoffs so we can do something.
Well, it's a rags to I mean, it's like the American dream. It's really, you start with nothing and work and just success at every level.
It is.
I mean,
it's,
a lot of
it's
that's
a big deal.
A lot of that's part of the city of Boise's grown, right? Because you can have a university without the population.
I think geographics plays a little.
But
like
also,
it does.
but like Dre said, the fact that we're winning at every level. I mean, junior college, they had a championship of some sort. That's on the fact checker to sort that out later.
Okay.
But one AA championship.
Yep.
Now, like the next thing, the only thing that's left is to get into that.
We have countless bowl championships now. Now we just have to get an opportunity to get into the college football playoff. That's all people want is opportunity. Now, if we lose, we lose.
That's true.
Then it shut everybody
Just
up.
give me an opportunity to play.
Well, UCF this year kind of, got that treatment a little bit.
They
we're
got
undefeated for 2 years. Like,
2
here
years in a row.
you go.
Give me all FBS or FCS wanted. They just wanted a opportunity to play in the playoff. And I think them declaring their own national championship kind of showed people, like, if you're not going to give it to us, we're going to take it.
Especially when you have the Division One AA championship, because everyone's telling you, well, the logistics are impossible for a college football playoff, and then everyone just has to turn
Not true.
down to the league that's below you and say, well, they're doing it.
Well, you know what? The logistics for the NCAA basketball tournament literally are impossible, and they managed to pull that off.
They make it work.
64 teams flying around, different. I mean,
I'll tell you this: anybody that said logistics of 132 teams, or it might be even 140 teams now. I know the Division I football is adding like 2-3 teams a year, but it's somewhere a little under 150. For you to say the logistics, NCAA, don't work is just slapping everybody's face.
oh yeah, just 18. You got to get 8 teams. I mean,
Right.
one weekend's
Listen,
it's one more weekend of travel is really what it is.
The state of Texas and the state of California somehow figure out how to have thousands of teams in a playoff that's seated properly and then have bowl games on top of that. So you have high school teams that are playing 13, 14, 15 games, some of them 16 games in a season because the California Scholastic Organization is figuring out how to make it right.
Well, maybe they should
Now
take
they have-
over the.
They
logistics.
probably should.
They just
NCAA,
don't
call
have-
California.
They have more than just section championship now. They have a whole
They
state
have-
playoff, right?
They have you have your CIF section championship, and then you have your regional championships, and now you have, on top of the regional, there is a full state bowl system that crowns 3 state champions.
3.
Actually, it's 4 now.
Okay.
They set the whole state into 4 divisions. There's an open, there's D1, D2, D3.
Okay.
But you have to get through your section and your region first to get into.
For crying out loud, Idaho.
So they can figure out how to get 8
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
The state of California figures out how to get 8 teams out of 1,000 high schools. And the NCAA can't figure out how to get 8 or 12
I
out
thought you
of
guys were
150.
educated. I thought
Let's
this was
do it.
higher education. You guys should have degrees in this stuff.
It's hilarious. But they're doing it for the money. I mean, if you're the SEC and you're the Big Ten, why do you want the MAC or
Yeah,
the
'cause
American Conference or the Mountain West to take any part of your revenue?
Well, yeah, you can ensure almost every year you're going
It's
to be
all
in the
gonna come to
finals.
us.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yep.
We might lose in the national
gonna come
championship,
to
but
us.
we'll be there. Yeah.
We don't want Minnesota in the playoff, but if they get there, at least they're in our conference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we'll get paid.
Yeah. We don't want Vandy representing the SEC, but if they get there, it's going to be in our pocket. They're going to share it with us.
Right, and that's a relic of the BCS system, right? Where that money gets spread throughout the conference, or is that
unless you're Notre Dame? then
Notre Dame?
take
You
all
get
of
it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden domes for days.
Well,
so
yeah, but you have to put
that
more
adds
than 3
another
points.
element to the college playoff too, because you got your 5 majors and Notre Dame. So really, you got 6 things that you're splitting from.
Well, just won't include Notre Dame until they decide to bite the bullet and join a conference.
They're in the Big Ten and every other sport except football.
There you go.
Yeah, that's by design. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They'll never go into a conference until the NCAA forces them.
Well, maybe they should force them after the 3 points they put up. How about that? Like,
Right.
hey, if you don't put up a touchdown in your next ball game, you got to join a conference.
Right. And it's been rough on Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's coming from a Catholic kid too. Sorry, but hey, sometimes you got to call them like you see them.
Yeah, I got buddies that went to Notre Dame too, so it's, I told them like they got the perfect setup, but for Notre Dame, if I'm Notre Dame, I'm not getting into a conference.
Well, they have an exclusive contract with NBC. Don't
They have an
just
NBC.
yeah.
You play on Saturday prime time.
Yeah.
Every Saturday. So you got your own TV money. I don't have to share my TV money with my conference. Then if I go to a bowl game, I take all the money. If I go to a New Year's Six bowl, that's even more money. If I go to the CFP,
oh yeah,
I have even more money.
well.
Don't let me win a national championship. Now I got the TV money, and I can negotiate that TV contract even higher.
Oh yeah.
So Notre Dame, it makes sense. But the NCAA needs to say, listen, you guys are just stealing from everybody else. Or you just say everybody's independent and make your own schedule like high schools do.
There you go.
And we'll see who the best is.
Well, doesn't Boise State have a deal where they get
some ESPN money on their own.
But they get their conference money.
Yeah.
It's weighted a little differently,
It is.
and I
but
think that's probably the only way you're going to get Notre Dame. in a
And see,
conference.
Notre Dame could do that, though.
Yeah, we could come in and say, hey, we get X. We are two
They can
teams
still
in the-
keep their NBC contract and still be in the Big Ten.
That would make sense. Yeah,
Because they can walk in the Big Ten and say, hey, Purdue, you're not me.
you want to be on NBC,
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to get to play on NBC when you play us, so keep your mouth quiet. It's simple.
That'd be funny if the only thing that's propping up the Catholic Church with all these lawsuits at this point is that Notre Dame TV money, though.
Hey.
Oh, you broke the
That'd be
conspiracy.
wild.
All right, yeah. That's a different show. This is a sports show, okay?
Yeah, that's the college playoff should at bare minimum be 8, though.
Yeah,
you
it
get
would
all
be-
your conference champs in, and then you can get your top level mid majors in.
Well, it's in the NCAA basketball tournament. The Elite Eight, that's when it starts getting good. There's 8 teams
Absolutely.
left. I mean, it's
And if you have 12 to 8 teams in the college football playoff, you're not going to get those dud games that we just got.
yeah.
You're not. It's not going to.
We were talking about that earlier. At least you'll see a good game. Maybe in the
You'll
first round,
see a
you'll see a
good
tight
game.
game, maybe an overtime
Yeah.
game. You'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Where-
those semifinal games, the final 4, it's going to be some games.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the service industry will love those.
Yeah, you get an
Because
extra weekend of.
you got more games coming to your bar, more games coming to your sports bar. That's it. You have more games as a network that you can broadcast, so they can negotiate something with the College Football Playoff Committee. I mean, there's more revenue to be made all the way around. Because our country cannot get enough of football. We can't get enough.
Or money, and both.
It works hand in hand.
Speaking of which, this podcast is brought to you by the Suds Tavern, the Bronco Alumni Show on the Suds Sports Network. Okay, thanks. Back to you, Dre.
Yeah.
Nice. Speaking of more revenue at a bar.
right. But that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's money, but you can still make something right and make money. That's
put
my
the best
point.
product out there and
Yeah.
make. Yeah.
At the end of the day, as a fan, even if you wanted 4 teams, you didn't want those games that we watched.
No, I didn't
last
want
week.
those first 2.
We didn't want that, so.
See, when I talk about a football playoff system, in my mind, this has been years. I've thought about this, but you have a conference championship. If you win your conference, you should make the playoff. That's what I believe. So you expand it to 16 teams, and then you have a chance to include, well, if there's 11 conferences, 5 wild card teams. So your second and third place Georgia teams can make it in, as well as anybody else who's got that heat at the end of the season.
Yeah, because the truth is, even if you don't win your conference, you can still have a really good football team that can put out a great product and a great comp to somebody who won a conference.
Well, yeah, look at what the wild card's done in the NFL. Not lately, but I mean, there was
There's NFL champs that came through the wild card ranks.
I actually saw that stat today. They had like 5 or 6 teams before 2012 go to the Super Bowl as a wild card. Nonsense.
The Raiders won one of them through the wild card.
Well, it's
the
almost
Giants won one through a wild card.
Giants won 2.
Was it both times they were wild cards?
Yes.
There you go.
Those that listen to this know the Giants have a special place in my heart. So.
So, I mean, I just don't like the fact that you got humans in a room eyeball testing. Because eyeball tests are great, but at the end of the day, on the field is where it counts.
Yeah. Well, how do you win a conference championship? You play games. I mean, it's
play games. I mean, look, what we get these preseason rankings every year, and they're all wrong.
Well, that always drives me nuts.
They're all wrong.
Yeah. When they start too early, like just let them play a few games, and then we'll see who's good.
If they wanted to do the rankings right, what they would do is the first ranking wouldn't come out to week 5.
Well, they've tried to do that with the college football
Let's watch all these games and let's you eyeball test and see who beats who and who's performing at a high level, who's improving, because that's a big part of sports, is that you get better at the end of the season. My man Jarrell Root just walked in the building.
In the house.
Trying to get him. You can call him out later.
That's my guy. He coaches with me, too, by the way. He was at my house earlier this morning.
Hey, nice. Tell us more about the coaching while we're on.
I've been coaching high school ball for just finished my 11th season at the high school level.
We were saying with Rob last week's guest.
I coach at Capitol High School, Boise, Idaho. It's myself, Rob Vine. He's our offensive line coach. I coach the DBs. You have Nick Kalaikai. He's basically running our special teams, and he coaches our quarterbacks. Jarrell Root's coaching our defensive linemen.
Oh, nice.
And we have Todd Simmis. He's our head coach, and he's a Idaho State and Willamette University alum. He's an awesome dude, and he's been coaching high school.
It sounds like a lot of D1 coaches over there.
We have a lot. We have a lot of passion and a lot of know-how. So we get on each other quite a bit, but it works out. We have a guy, Mark Leaf, who's probably one of the smartest guys I've been around. He played at PLU, and our D coordinator played at Sac State. I mean, we have a lot of guys that know what they're talking about.
I played Pop Warner, so if you ever need me to come out,
hey,
and,
Hey, listen, some guys know the game. If you know the game, you know the game. But yeah,
So
it's really fun, man. It's really fun.
Coaching DBs, you're not coaching what you played. What
I coached receivers for 8 years.
Okay.
Then Todd gave me a call. We had a conversation, and I switched over to defense, and I love it.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a hard transition. The good thing is that 2 of my best friends are DBs, so if I get stuck, I can pick their brain a little bit.
You're not giving away secrets here, are you, from receivers? Is that?
Yeah, well, you know the other
when
side,
when I'm
right?
on my side, that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
Honestly, it kind of helps me because I know how a receiver thinks. That's what I made my calling on was playing receiver, so I can coach my DBs to counter how I would play the game.
That's
and how
good.
I
we're
know
talking about that with
receivers try to
Rob
work.
last week about like seeing the game through a different perspective.
Yes.
Like a quarterback coaching a lineman. Like, here's what I'm looking for: a lineman coaching a quarterback. Like, here's what we're up against. And obviously, you're a better player for it if you understand all the positions and
The thing that helps me even coaching wise, but it helped me as a player, was when I was in Pop Warner. I started playing like 9, 10 years old. I wanted to play when I was like 4. My dad made me wait, but the coaches I had made all of us play every position. And so from the time I was 9 or 10 years old to the time I got to high school, I played offensive guard, offensive tackle, played tight end, played D tackle, linebacker. I played everything, inside, outside the box. So by the time I got to high school, I kind of saw the game as a whole. I didn't have the tunnel vision of only playing the receiver position or only playing running back. I got to play all these positions, so I kind of got to see the game in its totality. And I kind of kept that. It stayed with me, you know. And
Yeah.
That's
fundamental
awesome.
understanding
When I played, they was just like, you're taller than everybody. You're going to be playing on the line.
right. And that's
You're on
normally
the
what
line.
happens
Yeah.
a lot. And I didn't realize that until I was in high school, and I'm like, wait, you only played quarterback? Like, you've never played running back before? You've never played linebacker?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that I was in one of those few programs that we actually had to play all these positions. And even if you didn't play it in a game, our coaches made you go through a D-line drill. You could be a quarterback, and our coach is like, you're going to put your hand in the dirt, and you're going to play two technique, and you're going to try to do something. Like, I'm going to teach you this. So even our quarterbacks knew what a D lineman was thinking, or at least knew techniques that D linemen used to try to get to him. So that helped us out a lot. And everything I learned playing DB in Pop Warner to high school helped me play receiver in college.
They should make every quarterback play D-line and offensive line, though, just so they can appreciate what those guys are doing for them, to be honest with
I'll
you.
tell you what, every receiver needs to play quarterback for one series. Because when I threw a pass in college and got hit under the chin on a reverse pass, I was like, newfound respect for you, Bart Hendricks, and Ryan Dinwiddie.
It does not feel good. I
Yeah,
don't
oh
think it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when
They
the
should
ball
make-
didn't come out on time, I was okay after I got that hit.
And they should probably make every offensive lineman play quarterback for a series too, so he can take a shot and see what it feels like when
Oh,
he
yeah.
don't do his job.
Yeah, yeah.
They let me hold the clipboard and also help out on the sidelines during the game.
Hey,
So
look,
that was
listen, man.
exciting.
Everybody has a role in the program, right?
Pass out some dry towels.
I wasn't on any program. I'm talking Pop Warner. They were already like, "Hey, you talk a lot. You're up. Here's a clipboard. This is what play we're
You know
running."
what's funny? You say that, though, but one of the best coaches I had, Mark Harrison, and I was a freshman in high school. Was my freshman high school football coach. Kennedy High School, Fighting Irish, K-High for life. Got a shout out. Yeah,
We saw
played
them
you
at
guys.
Kiefer Stadium one year.
That was
Come
my
on.
junior year, by the way. We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a coach, Mark Harrison, who never played football. And I didn't know this until I was like a senior in high school. And he was like, yeah, never played. But he was one of the best coaches I ever had. I promise you.
Really?
Yes. He
from
just knew how to coach us.
observation?
Never played the game.
So
And
X's and O's guy, or more of a mentality?
he
or
was a mental guy. We knew how to approach the game.
put you in a right mindset.
Yeah, we just knew how to play because he got us in the right mentality to play the game. And my high school coach, Mitch Olson, he was our varsity head coach. He played at Los Alamitos High School, California. He had records as running back, rushing records, touchdown records. And that guy was all X's and O's. Like, I learned a lot from that guy. And he would always ask me, Mark would always ask me when I was running track, he was like, could you play a football game right now? And if I said no, he was like, well, you need to get your mind together. I mean, that's how he was.
Oh, yeah.
So he was like, even in the track meet, you got to be ready to
365,
go.
yeah. 24/7.
Yeah, it is not
365.
just running. You got to get your mind in the right position to succeed.
Here's a question, Dre. When did you know that football was it for you? Like that was what you like? Because you sure you played baseball, maybe soccer, maybe basketball.
I did.
But when did you know that football was the one?
I didn't know until my senior season in high school, which is kind of late.
Yeah, I'd say.
I knew I could play. I didn't know if it was the sport I wanted to
Go all in.
chase.
Yeah.
So did you play other sports up until then? Were you?
When I was growing up, I played baseball. I played basketball. Basketball was actually my first love.
Is it even in high? You're in
Even through high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a toss-up at this.
The hardest part is basketball's so fun. Like, everybody thinks they're a hooper. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's only 5 spots.
I coach kids in football now, and I'm like, dude, you're not a hooper. But I'm only speaking from experience, right? I'm like,
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're a good high school basketball player, but you're a great athlete. You can play college football somewhere. You ain't gonna play college basketball. But when I was growing up, I played everything. I mean, the only thing I didn't do was wrestle, and I even tried to wrestle. And I went to a wrestling tryout, and then the coach was like, "Oh, this is the dates of our season." I'm like, "Well, I got to play basketball, so I'm out." Like, that was the only reason why I didn't wrestle.
Basketball is real fun to play, like you said.
Yeah.
It's one of the funnest things to do with a group of your friends. However, for me personally, watching it, I can't stand the last 5 minutes of the game.
Oh, because it
Everything
turns
slows
to
down.
35 minutes.
35 minutes of free throws, and I just
Yeah.
lose interest. I don't even care who wins anymore.
Yeah.
But that's a sidebar for sure.
But I found out, I never thought about it until I was a junior. My neighbor, I was actually outside in the front yard. I used to take a basketball and dribble up and down the street, just doing moves on air, just working on handles. You got to have handles to play, especially in LA. If you don't have handles, you're not going to ever touch the ball. But he asked me one day, he was like, "So what are you going to do in college?" I swear I never, ever thought. I knew I was going to play college sports, but I never thought about college sports as specializing in something.
You got
I
to
was
pick
like,
a major.
I was like, I'm going to be a college athlete. Like, that was it. I mean, I didn't think of it as you need to pick something. You know? You got to commit to something. And I didn't, my senior year in high school, it wasn't I had more fun playing football. I made a decision, like, I could probably go further. I knew after my buddy Garrett Sable, who's a year older than me, went to Oregon. He was a baller. Baller.
He almost killed a guy at my high school.
He did. He broke his ribs. We'll talk about that later.
All right. For real.
Yeah, for real.
Real story. True story. But he went to Oregon, and he called me, and he was like, "Dre, you could play here." And I think that was my senior year, and that was the first time with talking to him and talking to my neighbor that I actually was like, I have to pick something. And I realized that I could probably play at a higher level at a bigger school if I chose football. And that's kind of where it started for me.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Basketball was always fun. I still played basketball. I mean, I never stopped playing basketball. But another thing that I thought about, and I was having a conversation with my dad. My dad was a high school football player, and until he tore his knee apart. But he even said, he was like, you'll never, ever put on a helmet and shoulder pads if you don't play college football. You can always go to the park and pick up a basketball and call some buddies and play basketball.
That's true. It's like a workout sport, basketball.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of
You don't have 35-year-old men saying, hey, Jason, let me get this helmet from you real quick and let's go knock some heads at the park. Like,
they're out
happen.
there. They're out there.
There is, yeah. Those guys didn't play high school sports.
Usually you go kick field goals at the park. We should go kick field goals. Will you hold? No. Don't kick my hand.
They have like the semi-pro team is the league and local here in Boise, Idaho.
And I look,
it's everywhere.
Well, they got a new one starting here
I
in Nampa.
appreciate those dudes because I can't do it. At this age, I can't do it.
I remember shortly after my career, well, maybe not shortly after, but more recently after my career was over, moving in next to a guy who played on one of those local teams. And he was like, "You should come out and play." I go, "Man, I made it through 14 years of football.
Yeah.
I didn't blow my knee out once. I'm not going to go out there and do it now. I'm not going to go out. I got to count myself lucky."
I've talked to some of those dudes, and there is a very, very, very small percentage of those dudes that played, that was like a dude on their high school team.
Yeah.
And then played college football. Like, those dudes are living their dream out now, and more power
Yeah.
to them. They should.
It's
I
a
mean,
fun
life
game.
ain't ever over until it's over, right?
It's a fun
So,
game. It's not. It's
For
fun
me,
to play.
I've been driving by. I was driving by with my son. I was driving by Lowell Scott Middle School, and there was a game going on. And I promise you, we were on our way home, and me and him were like, "Let's go watch that." And I pulled into the parking lot, and we sat there and watched the rest of the game. We watched 3 quarters. Of
Nice.
adult man football. These dudes are old as dirt, knee braces.
With the pads on too.
Oh yeah, it's full.
really?
It's a full deal. Referees, everything.
Oh, the real. Oh, okay.
The whole deal.
'Cause
Yeah.
I played in a turkey bowl. I felt like excited. but that's different.
That's the extent of my football playing
yeah,
now.
it's,
No,
one day a year.
It's the Turkey Bowl on steroids.
Yeah.
For
No,
people
these-
that
these
didn't
guys
go. On.
go.
Yeah.
No, they have. I think there's a team in Nampa that's like an arena team that's starting.
The
up.
Horsemen,
Yeah,
Idaho
the-
Horsemen. Yeah.
I just read
Yeah.
that this morning.
Yeah, they're coming in. There's a lot of former college players, young guys.
Any ex-BSU? It
There's
says
a couple.
A couple.
Well,
There's
yeah.
actually Hunter Nettles. Shout out to you. Played at Capitol High School. I was one of the coaches on the staff when he was there, and he's
all right.
he's also one of the linemen.
So these are guys that have
Yeah.
actually
These
played
guys are
some
legit.
Oregon. Okay, it's
This
not,
isn't adult rec league. No,
Just
these
like,
guys
I'm going to
can
give it a
play.
try.
Would you say it's the same level or like a step up or down
This
from
is
the
like-
Boise Burn like arena
It's
league?
about the same level.
Yeah, it's
About the same?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I read.
Yes.
It's
These guys, a lot of these guys are fresh out of college,
well,
and
they
some of them are jumping ship from one other indoor football league to this.
Okay.
Well, they
So-
said this league is regionally based, and that's to keep cost because a lot of these leagues get killed by travel.
It's,
so
yeah, you can't
if
travel. These guys can't travel to New Jersey.
If you keep people
know.
close, it's,
Yeah.
you keep costs down. You can
Yeah.
keep playing. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes.
Yeah, if you
economic
can play
sense.
football in a deck-low high school budget, I'm sure these
Right.
guys can keep it together.
Yeah, my man D. Ross, he was one of the top DBs at Boise State while we were there, and
Baller.
yeah, baller. He was voted to the what was that that 50 that top 50 players thing they did.
Oh, like
or
the all
whatever.
Bronco team, or
Yeah, he was voted on that, one of the DBs there. But he's a coach for a team called the Omaha Beef, and he's been coaching there for years, and he loves it.
Is that like a full time gig, or is that like he
No,
just does
that's
that
one
like
of his,
part time?
one of his other
Yeah.
gigs, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you if they paid right, he
Well, I
would
know
do
you
it
got to hustle.
full-time.
Yeah, it's.
But he's been doing that for years now, and he loves it because he gets these kids fresh out of college, and he's a philosophical thinker kind of guy, and he's like mentor, you know what I mean? So he's doing great out there, and I mean these guys are legit. I've
Still
talked to him
eager to
about-
play. I mean, just
A lot of these guys actually, because they're fresh out of college,
Mm-hmm.
didn't get drafted NFL. They're just trying to get film so they can go to the CFL or NFL. That's
just
really
get
what it
their
is.
foot in the door or
Yep.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yep. So if I play well here, I can either elevate my game to the true arena league, or I can get some film and maybe get a tryout or a workout with the CFL or NFL team.
Man, you would have to play so well because they know the competition is just
It's
not
diluted and it's low.
You would have to just be
It is.
all-star. You'd
The
have
sad
to
part is it's just like anything, though. There's so many football players that it's hard to break through, even if you're a really good player. And a lot of it is timing.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it is timing. There's dudes that can play.
Oh, football players are like podcasts, man. They're everywhere. I just anybody.
Right,
just,
right.
You, know, you got half the equipment.
Yeah.
Just get out there and get going.
Football's a little. It's harder to get into because there's not as many leagues to play.
That's true.
Like basketball, you can go all over the world and play basketball.
Oh yeah, almost every country
Baseball,
has them.
there is so many levels of baseball. I mean, dudes that get drafted are still 6 levels away from the majors.
You think that
Yeah.
barrier is a cost of equipment for football? I mean, there's so much more that you got. It's like armor.
Well, like you were
gotta
saying
buy.
before, the helmet. You
It's-
can't just go put a helmet on at the park.
I think part of it's cost. I think the other part of it is venues. There's not many football fields around to play in.
that will let you play in. You mean?
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
other part of it is you need a basketball team. I just need 8 dudes.
Yeah.
I need a football team. I need 50 minimum
Yeah.
to play. 50.
Well, I think that's why colleges can turn basketball programs around so fast. I mean,
You need one
you
dude.
need 1 or 2 people.
One
For
dude.
football, you need
Yeah.
a class, 2 classes,
Yep.
3 classes. You know.
Tyler Murray, Heisman Trophy winner. Put him on San Jose State and see how bad they still are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, you need a group of dudes.
Yeah, but take the college player of the year.
play.
I don't know who it is last year. Put them on Boise State, and all of a sudden they're in the
If you have the right group of guys, you can play. But you need a lot of them.
And you need them to bond, too. You can't just throw
Right.
people out there
Yep.
that don't care about each
Yeah,
other.
that's
Very
also
true.
a numbers game. I mean, you need 3 to 5 guys to get along to play basketball
And
consistently.
yep.
You need 22 at
Minimum.
least. Yeah, 30 guys all on the same
Minimum.
page. Yeah, minimum.
Because
Very
even
football.
listen, man, even high school level, we deal with drama. Because they're kids.
Yeah.
It's petty, but it's still, to them, it's bigger than what it really is. And we talk about team bonding all the time. We take our kids to the beach when we go to Oregon in the summer, just so they can hang out at the beach together. We take them to camp out of the state, and they have to be in a tent. We order a big ass century-style tent and put 100 kids in there for 5 days.
So you got to get along one way or the other.
Figure it out,
Yeah.
homies. Figure it out.
And you can't. And there's nobody you know. You're away from home, so you got.
You
this
got
is
none of your
it.
friends.
Yep.
You got your teammates, and you got your coaches, and you got the parents that decided to travel for 5 days from dusk till dawn all night.
Yeah, no eye gouging,
That's
no,
what you get.
no groin shots.
And
but
it's
figure
helped
it
us
out.
tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids, to have 100 to 150 kids in a program, our kids get along really well. But it's because we do stuff like that. We take them to the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we
Get
have
to
to
learn each other's personalities outside
when
of
we have
football.
to travel up north, we stay in Grangeville. We put them in a hotel. We put 4 kids in a room. We take them to the movies. We make them eat dinner together. We do a team dinner before every game. But we travel. We do the same thing. We put them all together.
That's a question I always have. How often do you eat? Like, how many hours before you play a football game do you eat? What's ideal?
About 3-4 hours before.
Like that you're full but not hungry.
Right.
But not. Okay.
You can't eat a heavy meal too close to kickoff.
Yeah, that's. I've just always been
Some kids
fascinated.
can.
Like,
They can figure it out. I know some of these hosses can probably do it, and it ain't gonna bother
well,
them.
I'm sure every coach has their own like like 3.5, 3 hours. I'm sure it's to the minute the way everything's planned.
Oh, yeah.
What was our team meal usually 3 hours? Was it like 3?
Yeah, it's about three hours before.
And what about in high school? Did you guys do anything like that?
When I was in high school, we did ours 3 hours before.
You guys
We
all
played
had as a team?
we played at 7 and we ate at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, our high school team now we play at 7:30 and we serve about 3:30.
All right.
And they fill up. Our parents are great. Our parents cook all the meals. It's
nice.
potluck style. Our moms, our dads that we have are awesome. We're pretty blessed to have
It's a
that
key-
group of parents continue, and we always have like the OG moms that are around or the OG dads.
You get any that stick around 1 year or two? You know, like the kids are gone, but I'm still
Listen,
cooking.
We have a woman named Flo Clark whose son graduated maybe 8 years ago. He went to College of Idaho. He's through College of Idaho already. He has a family.
He's a grown man.
He's a grown-ass man, and his mom still shows up at pregame meal and does her thing for us.
That's
So
what you need.
we have parents like that.
That's
that
the kind
stick
of
around the program. We have another parent, the Polsons, and they've had 3 kids come through our program. And Mr. Polson is on the sideline every Friday night taking pictures with his professional grade camera.
Nice.
And I mean, we're lucky. I mean, that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that in my high school too,
Yeah.
where the parents and former parents, like Paul's mom, still goes and cooks team dinners down at Bishop Vermont for
See,
the
that's
squad.
unbelievable, man.
Yeah. And
Listen,
Rick-
if you've never been to LA high school football, it ain't Texas. I'm a Cali kid, but I've been to Texas game. It ain't Texas. But California high school football is legit. The kids can play, but the way the programs are, especially the ones that have a tradition of winning games, like my school does, Jason's school does, people show up and they're around the program long before their kids show up and long after their kids are gone.
I'm from New York, and we have 8 billion people. I don't think we've ever even produced an NFL prospect.
Ron Dane. He's a New York kid.
Oh, Ron. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, you guys
I
got
like
one
Ron
Heisman
Dane.
Trophy win.
I like Ron Dane.
Well,
He's a giant.
Well, John Jones's brothers playing in the NFL, and they're all from New York.
Are they New
aren't
York
they?
guys?
No, that's my
joke.
joke.
John Jones.
Yeah,
is.
that's my. I mean, I know we have some, but for the amount of people in New York, you would think
But
like.
see, New York is a hoop town, though.
Yeah, it's true.
New
a lot
York
of
is-
basketball.
New York is a-
yeah.
Kids hoop out there.
But there's a whole upstate that like you would. We
Yeah.
have farms like spread out like Texas. You would just think.
But
we'd
they
get-
got hoops bolted to the side of the barn.
Yes, yeah.
They're
It's
hoopers.
too cold,
It's like
man.
Indiana. Indiana is a basketball state,
That is true. Yeah.
and it's all farmland out there.
You just put the basket right on the side
Yeah.
of the barn,
Yep.
and the kid can. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a peach basket. It doesn't even need to
They
be
just
like
need
a rim.
it's a hoop, and it's geographics. You know what I mean? Like in the South, it's football. From Florida to Texas, it's football.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Definitely. I mean-
Ohio is a football state.
Listen, it wasn't for Florida, Texas, and California, we would have no NFL football. I mean,
Right.
I mean, that is 90% of the NFL.
It is. The outliers are you got really good high school football. A lot of people don't know this in Ohio. Some of the best high school football
yeah.
coaches are in Ohio. Some
Well,
of the best
that's
football coaches,
Ohio,
period, are
that's
from
why
Ohio.
State and Michigan can kind of pull out
Yeah,
of there.
but those kids in Ohio can play. Pennsylvania is another place that people don't think about. They produce top-level
farmland,
football
It's
athletes.
just middle of nowhere.
So-
Virginia has ballers that play football that come out of there.
Where do you think Idaho rates on that list? Like,
Hmm.
I know you were talking about the talent, the raw talent of this state, but the lack of fine tuning at the high school level, I'd say.
If you just took it at its state that it's in right now, out of the 50 states we got, it's somewhere in the bottom half. As a totality of the state.
Is that the raw talent, or is that like the finished high school
That's
product?
the finished product.
Okay.
And it's getting better year after year. I mean, we have kids out here that are really good athletes. Really good athletes. The issue has always been that I found out when I first got here is that the IQ of the sport was very low. And I mean, I'm talking, I had to tell a kid a crack block doesn't mean a hard hit. I'm being dead serious. I had to ask a kid to go, all right, this play, you're going to crack block. And he thought that just meant hit him hard. Like, no, there's a technique to this. That means you're the outside and you're going to go inside and you're going to lay out the inside DN or the outside linebacker.
Oh, man, I used to love seeing that on film. As an old lineman watching a receiver
Yeah.
get some. Oh,
Yeah.
nothing better, man.
But I had to literally explain stuff like that. And that's not the kid's fault.
No.
That's just the state of the sport that it was as a whole. You know, so what is happening is that we have a lot of guys, myself included, that have stayed here in the area.
Settling after college.
And
Giving back.
We're giving back to the sport. And we've became a part of the community, and we're giving back to the communities now. We have guys like our head coach, Todd Simmons. We have guys like Judd Benedict, who coaches at Mountain View High School. And they're a big part of why we have we have a lot of D1 dudes that are coming out of here.
That go out of state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot. Oregon's starting free safety is from Idaho.
Ooh, that's
It's what it is. Leighton
What
Vander Esch is an 8-man football dude from Riggins.
That's true. He plays in the pros. Is that?
Oh,
is
yeah,
it-
yeah. Dallas Cowboy.
I think I saw him last night. All right.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of talent like that.
Does that beg the question, though? Why is the kid from Idaho starting at Oregon? Why isn't he at Boise State? Is that
You can't get every kid.
okay?
They offered him. I know
mean,
they did.
Well, I guess that's a good sign when you're losing kids to other college. I
It
mean, you're
is.
producing enough.
That is a good sign. That means
Yeah.
that other states are actually noticing that we have
the
talent
level.
here.
Yeah.
And it's like you said earlier. I mean, it's a lot of timing. So Oregon needed a free safety that year. Might have come really hard at them.
Right.
BSU not so much. It's
Yeah.
just
But
it's,
yeah, if
it's
you have
so
a
much
sophomore in the
luck and
position of
timing.
junior,
Yeah.
you're not.
It's
You're
insane.
a year or two away.
Unless they're USC, then you're just going to recruit the top running back in
And see,
Southern
and that's the
California
thing
every
that's
year.
different. When you got a school like USC, Miami, Texas, Ohio State, you can recruit your backyard and never leave. If you're Texas, you don't have to go get a receiver from LA because you got one that's in Austin. You got one that's in Dallas. You got one that's in Lubbock.
Yeah, a top level. Yeah.
A top level dude.
like high level prospect.
When you're in Miami, You don't have to go to Baton Rouge to find you a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go find you a running back from Ohio. You can just go down the street and find you a kid.
Or pick one of 10, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's-
You know what I mean? But when you're at a school like Boise State, or when you're at Oregon or Washington, you have to go to L.A., Texas.
Yeah, that net's got to get a little wider.
You got to broaden your horizons a little bit, you know?
I mean, obviously, those are Miami, Ohio State, USC, and Texas. Several teams in Texas.
Right.
They're all top-level schools.
Yeah.
Do you think they could get better by widening that net, or do you think that if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
I think you have to find the right kid to fit your program. Style and personality.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, I think that's why those bowl games are so important from the from Boise State. I mean, if they go to California or they go to Texas or they go to, I don't think
It's
they
a
played in
recruiting
Florida.
tool.
But yeah, you can,
We're going to play in your
Obviously.
backyard in the Fort Worth Bowl, and we're going to show every kid that's in Dallas that we have a good program,
Yeah.
and
And
he gets to
come-
see it
yeah.
up close and personal.
And come play for us. But you
Right.
might come back someday.
And even and what does work in recruiting also is, even if you don't think we're as good as you think we should be, maybe you're the kid to turn the tide. Maybe your class changes what you think about us.
yeah,
You can be a part of this. You can play early, and you and your class can change and uplift what we have going on.
Yeah, it's like Tony Soprano said, it's always better to get in on the ground floor,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
don't want to come and stand on the shoulders of everybody
Because that's
else.
what's happening. That's what Herman did at Texas. When he left Houston and went to Texas, he got a bunch of Texas kids that were like, we're going to be the class to turn this back to Ricky Williams days.
well, that quarterback, my
He's a
God.
baller.
No, but you see he's 4 years old. Like, I'm going to play quarterback for I mean, it was
Yep.
like written in the stars there.
That's
that
what it
kid was
is.
ready to go.
But see, those are the programs that Ohio State, Miami, Florida State, USC, you have kids like that. Boise State, in a smaller scale, has kids. Like, my son's like, I'm going to play at Boise State.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're going to live on campus because you ain't living at daddy house.
Yeah.
But, I mean, on a smaller scale, you got kids that are in your backyard and they see success, or they have a parent that is such a diehard fan and he's like, I'm going to be there and I'm going to make this state proud. Or I'm going to make my family proud because everybody's Texas fans, or
Yeah.
we're all USC
No, that makes
fans.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where USC's at right now. USC is trying to get back to the Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindo White days.
Yeah.
Mike Williams. They're trying to do that.
Well, who were they before that? Weren't they a powerhouse?
They've always been a
And,
powerhouse.
like,
Ever.
Well, no, they took a break there before
Oh, yeah.
Liner
Yeah.
and Reggie. They brought that program back from kind of
Well,
mediocre.
how far back you want to go? You want to talk about
we
Bitch
could go back to
Pat Hayden?
Yeah, I mean, we can go all
when did
the way
football
back
start?
to my man Rodney
1909?
Pete. You know, that was my first USC experience with Rodney Pete playing quarterback.
Oh, that's right, Rodney P. And
Yeah.
Holly, his actress wife. I see him on infomercials all the time. They're just selling me like Holly Robinson
Pete.
Yes.
she's beautiful, by the way.
Yes. When Rodney couldn't, yeah, they're definitely,
But yeah, that was my first. My dad took me to a USC game. I walked through the Rose Garden,
I forgot he played
and
there.
I was like, "This place is
I
great."
just remember with the Lions. The Lions was,
Yep.
yeah, he took the
Detroit.
Lions to the playoffs, didn't he?
Yep.
Wasn't he the last? He was part of
Yeah.
the,
That group was
Very-
really good,
very
and then you had the group with Keyshawn Johnson, and they
yeah.
came through, went to the Rose Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I remember Keyshawn just,
Yeah, and USC is There's a few programs in the country that if the right coach shows up, it's going to be instant turnaround.
well, there's also USC is one of those programs, even on a down year, they have
They're still
8,
good.
10
They got
NFL
dudes.
play. You realize,
Right.
how did you guys
Right.
go 500? Like, you have 10 NFL players
Right,
on your
right.
team. Like,
And that's
what
I
was
mean.
going on?
If
Yeah.
the right coach shows up,
The talent is almost always there.
it's
Yeah.
there. The talent's already there, and then the talent's in your backyard, so you don't have an issue recruiting.
Yeah, you just.
Yeah. Like Herman at Texas, Texas was bad for 3-4 years.
Oh yeah.
You're a laughing stock of the state. Texas A&M was the big dog in the state for a while.
Yeah.
But Herman seems like he might be the right guy.
Well, they declared they're back now after that win.
Hey, listen, they can play.
I just know I watched that game, and Georgia looked like they were half asleep. And then in the first quarter, I think the announcer said, "Oh, they had to sit a lot of starters in practice this week for no effort." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I could."
But when you got a program like that, your third string dude can go.
That's the other.
So that's kind of where that. You think we could just sit Madison here and just say, "Good luck, Mahone and Shakur"? Like, no.
No,
It's not going to be the same production.
But they have 3-4 NFL running backs maybe.
Look
on
at
their roster,
Alabama.
you know?
Alabama has 3 NFL running backs that are all underclassmen.
Yeah, we don't care if you get benched, you don't want to play. We got someone else.
All you guys are going to get 5-6 carries a game. That's it. So you better make the most of it.
I remember in Louisiana Tech one year, I played all 118 plays, offensive plays that happened on the Boise State side because we didn't have a backup
The
to
depth
go
isn't
in.
the same.
No.
Yeah,
It's not the same. So when you have programs like Texas, Miami, Ohio State, and the right guy shows up, you're going to be 3-4 deep at every position, especially once you let the guy be there for
So you
5-6 years.
you can sit starters and say, I've got 2 more starters
Doesn't
behind
matter.
you. Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
these 2 guys will start anywhere else but here.
Yeah.
Like
I
USC
said-
has 5-star recruits that are backups. They have to redshirt and sit and not play until they're juniors. I mean, that's just what it is.
a place like Boise State, they would
Boise
be
State, you get a
starting.
5-star guy, he's starting as a true freshman.
Yep.
Period.
Every year, USC lands the top running back in the state of California. Maybe not 100% of the time, but that's like that's just common knowledge in California.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's been running back used since before Marcus Allen. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of
USC
good running,
gets running backs.
There's a lot of amazing running backs.
Ballers.
Yeah, just unreal.
Yep. It's just how
That I didn't even
it's just how
know
it
played at
goes.
USC. I just saw in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you
And
look
in
back,
Texas, they got quarterbacks like crazy. They got top-level college quarterbacks coming in year in
I was
and year
talking
out.
to someone about
all
like
the
when you
time.
start to look at like Drew Brees, Nick Foles, all one state champs. The kid from Oklahoma, they said he was a 3-year state champ,
Right.
like, and
It's
chose to
dumb.
play baseball.
It's insane.
I mean,
Texas has quarterbacks like Cali has running backs and receivers.
just all
That's what
day.
it is. Pick one.
Crazy.
And then Florida's got everybody on defense.
Florida has probably the fastest kids in the country. They have
Faster-
more fast kids than anybody.
Do they have a track national championship in high school? Because I would put Long Beach
They
Poly
have
up.
they have they have what they call the Masters,
Okay.
and it's an invitational. And yeah, California. Shout out to Cali.
I would put Long
we
Beach
normally
Poly
win
up.
a lot of that.
I would put
Cali has Long Beach Poly has the record,
fastest,
the national record for the 4x1.
fastest people in the world,
Yeah.
basically.
But as a whole, Florida as a whole
Okay.
has the fastest kids, top to bottom, than anybody.
Well, I know there's not really big waves in Florida, so maybe they don't get distracted by the surfing.
Hurricane. You can't surf
Sure.
a hurricane, John.
The
Oh,
problem,
you can. I saw Point Break. You can do
the problem Cali has is there's so much to do in California. Like in the South, you're an Alabama kid, you're a
there's not
Mississippi
a lot
kid.
going. Yeah.
You're gonna either study, get knocked up, or play sports, or all of the above. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
Yeah. All
Like
at once.
let's
yeah.
just be real. There's nothing else to it unless you're in a city like Orlando or Miami
Yeah, where
or
you can go.
Atlanta. But for the most part in the South, that's why in Texas, these high schools are spending $5 million to $50 million on high school stadiums, and they're filling up on a
they're
Friday
insane.
night with 30,000, 40,000 people in the stands.
Well, have you seen some of the
You're not
facilities?
getting 30,000 people in the stands in California unless it's a state championship game. It's just not going to happen.
It's hard to get 30,000 in Boise at a college game.
Right.
I mean, that's a big
At
deal.
the Mountain West, at the conference championship
Right.
I
game.
mean, it's
There's so much to do in a lot of these western states that life is more than football, you know?
well, I mean, the weight room.
And so that's what's hard about the kids even, because you got kids that, like me, myself, I was trying to get to Lake Havasu and to the beach on the weekend.
yeah.
So for me, it was like, all right, I'm either going to work out and then go, or I'm just not gonna go. Like, you got to figure out, like, are you gonna go to the beach with us today? Yeah, I'm gonna go, but let me go work out for a couple hours first. I'll meet y'all at the bonfire.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it was.
Where the kid in the South is like, I don't have anything to do.
There's
but work
no
out.
bonfire happening unless you're
Yeah.
out in the middle of the woods. There's no beach to go to. There's nothing else happening in the city. There's no concert to go to.
No distractions. Yeah.
That's all, what you're gonna do. You're gonna play hard. That's why Friday Night Lights was a Texas story.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in LA. It doesn't happen in San Diego.
because there's something else going on Friday night in LA. Yeah, it's.
I can go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But the kid, it's kind of a good story for the kids though that come out of areas like New York or California or even some of the cities in the Midwest.
Well, gym rats. I mean, those are dedicated
Because
kids.
you knew that kid, if he's that good and he works that hard, he has a level of commitment because he could be doing 1,000 other things and not working out on Saturday or not working out at 5 o'clock in the morning before school.
Yeah.
Or on the weekend.
Makes sense.
So Dre, your lifestyle of Havasu one weekend, the beach the next. I mean, that's California living, obviously. How did you end up here in Boise, Idaho, man?
Coach Cutter
Okay.
was the sole deciding factor of me showing up here. The funny story is my buddy Garrett Sable, who we mentioned earlier. He's a year older than me. He was All-State California. Great football player, great guy, great friend of mine. And he went to Oregon. And he was at Oregon. And when he got to Oregon, Mark Helfrich was a GA. Coach Pete was the wide receiver coach. And Coach Cutter was the OC, all at Oregon. All those three dudes were at Oregon under Mike Bellotti. And he got there and he was like, these dudes aren't as good as you. And he got them to recruit me. And I was going to go to Oregon. I was set. And there's a guy named Rasuli Webster who I played club basketball with in high school. And he was same class as me. He was committed to Oregon. He was a free safety. He went to Brea Olinda High School. And I was like, well, I'm going to go with you and Garrett to Oregon, and we're just going to be a bunch of friends and play football. And Coach Cutter took the job at Boise State in the midst of all that. And I was in love with Cutter's offense, the way he ran it. And it was very similar to my high school coach's offense. So I felt comfortable in the offense. I felt comfortable with Coach Cutter. There was something about him that made me want to play for him, even when I was in high school. And he asked me to take a trip here, so I took a trip, and I had to tell my friends I was going to play in the Mountain West, or the Big West at the time, and not play in the Pac-10. And that's how I
Were there hurt feelings?
So you still had
They
an
weren't
offer?
hurt. They thought I was an idiot.
So you still had an offer at Oregon?
Yeah.
On the table.
Oh, they just thought you were dumb. Like,
They were like,
what are you
you're
doing?
dumb.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you go play in the Big West against Cal State Northridge and not play here, and we can play Cal and Stanford and SC and UCLA?
Yeah.
So I was
sense.
like, well, I at the time, I didn't care about the level of college football I played at, honestly. I just wanted to play college football. I really didn't care.
Did you have
been
NFL
at-
dreams?
I did, yeah.
You did?
Yeah. But at the time, I really didn't.
Doesn't everyone? I mean, you're
When I was a
18,
kid,
19?
honestly, I never said to myself, I'm going to play in the NFL.
I did, but it ended early, so early.
I was a big NFL fan. My favorite player was Barry Sanders. My favorite team was the Raiders. I was a big Tim Brown guy.
Bo
So I was a
Jackson.
receiver and stuff.
Bo
Jackson.
Jackson.
I was at the game when he got hurt, which was crazy.
Oh,
Against
man. You
Cincinnati.
jinxed it. You
I know,
jinxed it,
crazy.
man.
That's not his fault.
But
He still played baseball. He's
yeah, right. But
Life went on.
I just wanted to play football. I always told myself I'm going to play college football, and I think part of it was because my dad was like, "Do what you want to do," but I knew it was a step in the right direction. I was like, so if I play college, and maybe I'll play in the NFL, maybe I'll get a shot. I just wanted to play college football, and I didn't really care. It could have been at Sac State, and I'd have been happy.
See, that's where I went wrong. I never wanted to play college football, just pro. I didn't realize
I had to jump over.
the correlation there of like, oh,
Yeah.
all right.
But still, and it's funny. I've flown in big planes, 747s. You fly out of L.A. going somewhere, you're gonna find a big plane most of the time. So my recruiting trip, I flew from L.A. to Salt Lake City on a big plane, and then I had to walk on the tarmac in January.
Never done that before, huh?
No, never.
And
Like,
hang glide up here or what?
Yeah, and I was on this
Prop plane.
It was
Propellers.
It was
Yep.
two propellers.
Yep.
It's a
And there
pedal
was-
fast. Pedal.
There was maybe 15 rows on the plane, and it was like 2 seats on this side and 1 seat on that side. And in the air, I was like, I ain't coming here. Like, no way. If I have to fly like this,
It's too hard to get here.
yeah,
Still
like,
is.
No way. I'm not coming here. But when I got here, I met Scott Huff on that recruiting trip. I met Matt Strophus on that recruiting trip. And those are still good buddies of mine. And we hit it off. I met Marty Johnson on that same recruiting trip. He ended up going to Utah. He came here for a little bit and then transferred to Utah. But we all hit it off, and I was here. I was like, these dudes here are like a family. I met Shenard Hartz. I met Nate Sparks, Gavin Reed, Keith Dilworth. A lot of these older dudes, and I was like, D. Ross.
Well, I think Rob Vine spoke to that
AT.
last week about bringing. I mean,
Man.
recruiting trips is about bonding and getting guys.
I'm telling you, when I was here, all the thoughts that were in my head when I was on that plane were all gone in like an hour.
Did you take
Meeting
it?
these guys.
Did you trip to Oregon also?
I did.
And what was that like in the experience of getting on the
At
plane?
that time, Oregon wasn't Oregon now. The facilities weren't the same.
Oh, they didn't have the
Really?
marble
They
granite.
And you
They didn't
graduated
have
in
Phil
98?
Knight. Yeah.
So I came out. I graduated in 99. So the year after you took a trip to Oregon, I took a trip to Oregon the next year. They picked me up in our high school in a black Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Drove me
Yeah.
to LAX. Then we jumped up in the air for a second and landed at the Long Beach airport. I don't even know Long Beach had an
photo hop.
airport. Pick up 2 JC people and then travel and then it took us like 45 or an hour. I mean, that plane was fast,
Yeah,
man.
quick.
It got us there real quick.
Yeah.
Like 3/4 meal, banana split for dessert, everything. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Pac-10 money, man, to take care of you.
It was
Yeah.
insane.
It was legit. I had a good time up there, and my friends were there, but I wanted to play for the guy I wanted to play for at the end of the day. And then when I got here, I actually enjoyed the guys that were on the team probably more than I wanted to play for him, and that was it.
So-
I committed while I was here.
So the offense was, what was it? Dirk Cutter, offensive coordinator, right? Was the
Yeah.
offensive coordinator
At Oregon.
at Oregon. So that's the system you wanted to run, and then
Right.
and then he brought it over, and that system is it's completely different than any other offense I've
Yeah.
seen. Even like the amount of shift and motion, and the fact that I didn't get the full appreciation of it as an offensive lineman because your hands down.
in the dirt. You don't get to see.
You don't see what's going on, and I mean, you can see the linebacker shift every now and then, but that doesn't mean as much to me as it meant to you. So, what was that like? Was that something that Dirk Cutter brought in, and then Coach Pete continued? Did Dirk Cutter kind of have his own system, and Pete kind of branched off from it, or what?
They both had similar systems because you got to remember, Pete coached under Cutter for a long time at Oregon. So naturally, he takes on some of what Cutter had going on. But it was, to me, it was like poetry in motion, man. Especially because we had ballers at receiver, and we had 2 damn good quarterbacks I got to play with. But it was very similar to my high school because we would have 2 guys in the backfield. We would motion 1 guy out of the backfield to go 4 wide. We would go 5 wide, motion guy back into the backfield. We would have guys motioning across the formation. So we had a lot of similarities. We had read routes in high school that a lot of high schools didn't have. So when I got to see what they were doing at Oregon, and then Cutter was going to bring that here, it was a no-brainer for me.
And you're probably thinking, oh, well, that offense is designed to get receivers big numbers. It's wide open. And you're going to be playing against, I mean, your numbers as a receiver would have been astronomical, right?
It was part of it. I knew from high school experience that there's going to be a game that I had caught 1 ball, and then another game I caught 9.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way it works.
You got to spread it out.
You throw to the open dude, or you throw to the right read. When you got timing routes, you throw to the right read. Pre-snap read, let the ball go.
Mm-hmm.
When you got read routes going on, it's the correct read is getting the ball. So there's some games that you'll go nuts and other games that you won't. And I was okay with that. But I just wanted to play in an offense I was familiar with.
And that confuses defenses that you play against
Very
too,
much
right?
so.
Because they don't know who to key.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to play at Iowa State also, when at the time they were 2 receiver set. They were 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, 2 backs, 2 receivers, and I wanted no part of that.
Do you remember our running back at Bishop Beaumont, Mike Wagner?
Yeah, baller.
He was nice. He went to Iowa State.
And Breon Ainsley, you guys had before that.
Breon Ansley.
He was a beast too.
Ralph Brown.
Ralph
Man.
was raw.
Yeah. Corey Minor.
Corey Minor.
Joey Getherall. All these names.
Joey Getherall. Shout out to Notre Dame because of Joey. But Joey actually caught the game-winning touchdown against us my junior year against
Man,
Bishop
that was a game.
That might have been one of the most exciting, hyped-up games I've ever played in as a football player.
Ever?
Maybe ever.
Wow.
'Cause
That's saying something.
The atmosphere at the high school level, to get that atmosphere that we had that night, is you can't duplicate that very often.
No.
And I think we might have played in one other game my high school career that had that kind of atmosphere, or near it.
Yeah.
And I think the year before we played you guys were like the defending CIF champs.
That was
so wait, did you guys play against each other in high school?
Yeah, we
my
did.
junior year was his sophomore year, yeah.
Oh, all right.
They had dudes. You guys had a guy named, what's his name? Mike Pollard. I think he played for UCLA, the lineman.
No, that was Brian Polak the year before.
Polak, that's right.
Brian Polak the year before that season, the 90.
That dude was
huge.
a baller.
He was a beast, man.
He played at UCLA. He was a baller. But they had dudes.
Softy.
We had dudes. They had dudes. We were coming off a great year the year before that. I think they were the defending state champs.
It was a battle. It was like a war. I mean, like a guy literally got ambulanced off the field. Like one of our best players. Okay. Was it like a standard like crossing route?
And Garrett Sable came down.
Dennis Wyrick's playing wide receiver for us. He should have been playing quarterback for everybody out there.
Didn't he go to
He went to ASU to play baseball.
That's right.
Dennis Wyrick's crossing route, catches a pass. Before he comes down on the ground, Garrett Sable's helmet is breaking his ribs, and like he bruised his heart. He had a contusion on his heart.
That was the first quarter of the game.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's hyped.
Bro,
There you go.
that game, I'm telling you, that game was the week of practice. I remember us like, dude, we get a chance to knock off the state champs. Like, you don't get that chance that often in California because there's so many schools. And from a California standpoint, like Bishop Mont was one of the top dogs for years.
So this is like early the next season?
Yeah.
Okay.
McCutcheon was there.
Oh,
Dalen McCutcheon was probably one of the best running backs in the country when he came out.
He went to play.
Played at SC, played corner,
Yeah.
played in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns for a long time.
All right.
He was like a dude I looked up to when I was like in 93, 94.
Yeah.
I was watching him play in Anaheim Stadium for the state championship.
On
when he was a
TV.
senior. Yeah,
As
on
high
TV.
school.
Nuts.
Yeah.
But they were legit. So for us, we were like, we got dudes. We had guys that on our roster, myself, we had guys like Garrett Sable, who was an all-state dude, played at Oregon, started as a true freshman. We had Jack Tucker. He was a linebacker, played at Ohio State. We had 2 linemen that played at Cal Poly. We had a San Diego State. I mean, we were loaded, but they had probably more dudes than we did as far as D1 scholarships.
Every year. I mean,
It was
after I
a-
left,
it's a
it was like
powerhouse.
Jason Leach played at USC, Wesley Walker, UCLA. We had
Yeah,
everybody.
But that game, I promise you, it was. I had people tell me when I was in college that still was the best high school football game they've ever seen. Whoa. We were up on the state champs 14-0 at halftime.
Then
And
what happened?
As good as they are, I mean, they were good. Really, we were good. They were better than us. And they proved it in the second half. They proved it. They had Joey Getherall was probably the fastest kid that I've ever played against at the high school level. Dude was running like a 4.3 in high school. Like, it was stupid.
punt returner, wide
It was
receiver
insane.
at Notre Dame.
Yeah, he was an All-American in college. The dude was college. He was NFL fast in high school.
Yeah, just a blur.
And he caught a game-winning touchdown in the back of the end zone on me and our safety. I was playing corner. Other dude, Lester Scott, was playing safety, and he ran a deep post and ran past both of us, caught in the back of the end zone. Game over.
That was it.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
that-
big on you, Dre, for saying that's your favorite game ever. And you
Listen, man, football's football.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have some of the most fun because you're playing a game that you enjoy playing. It's not always about the wins. It's how you can, like I said earlier about Boise State, it's how you win and how you lose games.
True.
It's not always losing and winning.
Well, plus you could remove yourself from the.
I cried
Being
like
a-
a baby after that game because we lost. But I also knew that I probably couldn't play a better game. I didn't have nothing else left to give. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could take back. Well, I mean, obviously years later, but you could
Yeah.
take back the perspective of like win or lose. If I was watching that game and I didn't care about that game, that's an amazing
It
game.
was a great game. We had the fans there apparently knew it was going to be that kind of a game because
What kind of stadium is this played
so the
in?
way their stadium is set up, they have grandstands on both sides, and they have end zone seating, which is
So this is a high school stadium.
High school stadium.
But how many people in there?
I think they held like 6,000.
Okay, so
It's a
pretty
big
decent
for
size. Yeah, for-
California.
yeah.
6,000 is a big stadium.
no, for a high school. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, not now. Now we've talked about Texas,
Yeah,
but I
Texas
mean,
is different.
for back in the day, 6,000 was
6,000 for
when you're
a
high school player.
stadium.
Yeah,
Is pretty good.
it makes
But we had standing room only in a 6,000 seat stadium. I mean,
it was packed to the. Yeah,
they had a fence.
there were
They had
there
a
scouts
plastic
there.
fence that they put. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
in that game there is probably at least 20 D1 guys. D1 guys.
that went and
I'm not counting the other college guys that played JUCO to 1AA, D2, whatever.
Okay.
Like there was at least 20 Division I football players between both teams on that field that night. And
then how many future pros
there was
too?
probably like 3 future pros.
I
on
mean,
that
in a
team.
high school football game.
Yeah, in a high school
I mean,
football
which
game.
is
But they had a makeshift plastic fence around the field, all the way around the field, like a halo. And there was, I remember, at least 4 or 5 deep on the fence.
just stacked on the.
So we had the grandstands filled, the end zone seats filled, and standing room only all the way around the field. In a high school game, it's insane. It was nuts.
I'm
It was
gonna-
nuts.
Well, I mean, that just shows the level of talent that was on the field, though.
I'm gonna
I mean,
step that up and say there was like 10 deep back there because I remember it was every
could've
game.
been.
It was every
Yeah.
game. It was. I
mean-
mean, Kennedy, you guys had a squad that year, so it was
We had a
definitely the game was
squad.
hyped. The game was hyped for sure. But
And
that,
their coach was like, "There's no way that you guys aren't a D," because we weren't D1 at that time. We were D5,
Oh, okay.
that's
and in
insane.
California, it goes from top down. It goes 1 down to like 12 or something, and we were D5. And some of it is geographic, some of it is level of play, but we were a D5 team. We were a good program for a long time. And their coach after the game told our head coach, like, "There's no way that you're not a Division I program."
Coach Tom Salter,
Yeah,
great man.
yeah. I mean, it was.
You gotta.
We played so good.
Did you get moved up after that? Is like your school? Did they?
No.
They just left it.
Because it
where
was a regular season game.
It's all by
about how you do
population.
I
playoffs.
see.
And yeah, it was population, playoffs, geographics.
I see.
Win
But if you
percentage.
start, no matter what your population, if you start dominating in the playoffs,
You're gonna
they
go
just
up.
get it. Yeah.
You're gonna go.
They're not
Oaks
gonna let
Christian
that.
is Division 1. They got like 700 kids on campus.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
same as us back then. We
Yeah.
had like 1,200 kids on
Yeah.
campus. It
And
wasn't
we had like
sense.
2,500 kids on campus, and we're a D5 school.
Well, I love going down memory lane with you guys, but we're getting to the 4 o'clock hour here. We're getting.
Well, I could do this all day, John.
I know you
got
could do
somewhere
it
to
all
be?
day.
What?
No, I don't have anywhere to be ever, unless I want to be.
Always working.
Yeah, there you go. But I don't know. Should we get to the wrap up phase? I mean, it takes us a long time to wrap this up anyway. So
Yeah,
you
we
gotta-
don't have any prediction. Okay, a national championship prediction.
Yeah, let's
No,
start
let's
there.
see the spread.
I got Clemson.
Let me see this.
Ooh.
What's the spread?
the quarterback
You know what
on
the spread is
Clemson?
offhand? 'Cause I
Lawrence.
don't.
Have you seen him lately?
Sunshine.
Spicoli. That's who he reminds me of. I mean, that dude, he's like, whoa.
I just think of Sunshine from Remember the Titans when I see him.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before.
Big,
Did
tall kid,
you-
dangling blonde hair.
Well, did you see his interview when they won? And he's like, "Where's the confetti?" And
Right,
the guy's like, "Next
right.
week." And he's like, "Well, it's a bowl game, man."
Right.
I just love the like. He doesn't seem like the moment's too big for. He's just having a good time
Listen,
and
that's probably why he's so
Yeah,
good,
and
because he just plays.
just enjoying.
He
what-
doesn't worry about the magnitude of what's happening.
Yeah, you're gonna change your
You
legacy.
can't get caught up
for-
in that.
You can't.
You lose every
He
time.
just plays the game, and he's a good football. But listen, man, that boy Etienne, number 9, is a dude.
So it looks like
I like Bama's good. Tua is the truth. I think he's the truth. But you listen, as good as the SEC may be, Alabama has not seen a defensive line like Clemson. They got 5 NFL dudes
Yeah.
on their D line. That's insane.
Reminds me of those giant teams
Yeah.
that took down the
there's
Patriots.
5.
there's those rundowns and pass downs you can get in when because the D lineman can't go every play. That's just
No.
impossible.
But when you got 5 NFL
And
dudes,
you have no breaks.
good luck.
You got no breaks.
What do you think about Hurts here? Do you think he's gonna stay?
I think he stays.
Really?
He shouldn't, but he does. But
He's just-
what I think he should do is change positions.
Maybe wide receiver.
Wide receiver, H-back, tight end, do something. He's a phenomenal athlete. The dude is 6'3", 6'4", 230, 240 pounds, and can run.
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
Deal, yeah.
Change positions.
'Kay,
Braxton
so-
Miller did it. It worked out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Randall
officially-
L. long time ago
Yeah.
from
Antoine?
Iowa did it.
Antoine.
Yeah.
They even let him throw a pass in the NFL. Randall.
Illinois.
Yeah, like,
He was
fine.
at Illinois, wasn't he?
He went to Iowa.
Oh, and
Yeah.
okay.
Randall L. No. Yeah.
Illinois.
It was Iowa. We'll go.
Either or. Fact checker.
Let me get the facts.
But-
anyways,
Those kind of guys, like, he knows he's not going to play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's not. So just don't be
But he
Tim
can
Tebow
play in
and
the
be
NFL, yeah.
stubborn and have to play AAA
Yeah.
baseball.
Be Terrell Pryor. Yeah. Like you can play in the NFL, you just can't play quarterback
Terrell
in the NFL.
Pryor
Yeah.
decided, you know what, maybe I'm not a quarterback, and now he's making a living playing receiver.
I'm a super athlete still, though. I can,
he's
yeah.
still a beast.
Well, I heard that. Like he went one off season, worked out wide receivers coach, and
Yep.
Hugh Jackson brought him in, I think, and he's bounced around a little bit. Obviously,
Yes.
he's behind the 8 ball
He's-
guys that are playing,
absolutely.
8, 10
If
years.
he would have did what Braxton Miller did and did it in college,
Mhm.
he might be a little further
get that.
along now. But at the end of the day, you know you're a good athlete when you can change positions in the NFL
Yeah.
and still make rosters. You're a good dude.
Yeah, that's
But that's the thing I think he should do. He should take off. But I got Clemson. I don't know what the spread is. but
Indiana University.
Indiana, that's what it was. I knew it was one of those
We
I
got-
schools in the
So,
Midwest.
so I think the official spread is it's either 4.5 or 5, depending on who you look at.
well, it's depending how the money's flowing. I mean, it changes.
Listen,
Total
the
points.
money line is probably going to be on Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No. The money line is Alabama minus 210 is what I got here.
Oh yeah, that's the
But the point spread is
4.5, 5. You
yeah,
got
4.5, 5, and then total points is you're looking at 58.5
Oh, I'm taking the over on that all day.
over. And
Oh, yeah.
and what's the final score?
Final score, man, that's rough.
We're gonna hold you this.
I'm-
Rob got it wrong last week because he predicted the game would end, and the bowl game didn't end. So take that, Rob Vine.
Listen, what I'll say,
Everybody
Well,
lost
say-
last week.
Clemson scoring over 30.
Okay.
They're
yeah,
scoring over
they
30.
got to. I would agree with that. We all want to see a game that's 30 in the 30s.
It's going to be an air raid. I'm telling you. As good as those backs are that Bama has, I still don't think that they can get through that front. That front seven for Clemson is insane. But
Well,
Tua is a baller.
But is
Yeah.
Bama's O-line going to be able to handle that D-line? Because that's, I mean,
No, I don't think they are. But Tua can play.
Yeah,
He's
he
not
can
gonna
run. He
hang
can
on
roll
to the
right. Yeah,
football.
he can.
He knows how to get the ball out of his. He's not going to be a dude that's going to stand there and
Yeah.
try to pat the ball for 4 or 5
Yeah.
seconds and take sacks.
Yeah,
He's
if
gonna
the
get rid
line
of it.
breaks down, he's going. Yeah,
or he can run.
Alabama is smart. If they can't block him for 4 seconds, they're not going to call plays that require that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're not.
they're going to roll.
They're not
right,
Alabama because they do dumb stuff.
Well, I hope so.
That's
I
true.
mean,
And they
you
have
never know
athletes
what a
everywhere.
college football coach is going to do in the moment.
But we also got.
We
Nick
know what
Saban
Nick
over
Saban's
there.
going to do in the moment.
Nick
He's
Saban
not going to
is a
celebrate.
dude. No,
That's
no.
the kind of guy you
They
just
could be
won
up 50-0 on Monday night, and he's still going to be screaming at somebody.
What was the year they asked him, like, you just won the national championship. What do you think? He's like, I'm thinking about recruiting in the morning.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about what we got to do for next season. Like,
I got a plane tonight, flying
Yeah.
out to Cali to get a kid.
yeah,
Like, I
you
mean, that's
just
what
won.
he is.
Yeah. And that's the mentality that keeps you on top, though. So
Oh, absolutely. And that's why Clemson's been so good.
Well, okay, finally.
wait, what's your prediction before we get to finally?
My prediction.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the under. I think it's going to be a defensive struggle.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with 21-17. 21-17 Clemson.
Clemson.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm going 31-30. Just seems like a better game. 1 point game's a good game.
Hey, I would
With
not
a
be surprised
failed
if
2
both
point
teams
at the
get
end.
over.
That's what I'm going to go.
Okay,
failed
so
2
all
point.
we got,
As a fan, I hope you're right.
Yeah, there we
'cause
go.
That'd be a great
That'd be
one.
a great
Dre, all
game.
we got was Clemson's going to score over 30 when we asked for your
All right,
score.
let's go 35-31.
Yeah, I'm going to
Clemson.
go 31-30. Clemson. Alabama misses the 2 point to lose the
So
game.
everybody's picking Clemson to win it?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
Clemson. I just think they got too much heat on
Everybody's
both sides
willing
of the ball.
Clemson to win. I'm sick of seeing Alabama
I know.
win.
I'm-
They're
But see,
becoming the
everybody says that, but sooner or later they're going to be, I'm sick of Clemson.
Yep.
Because Clemson's
Well, they're
been there
be-
for 4 years, too.
Well, yeah, Alabama's becoming the Patriots, though, of college football. It's
Well,
like,
it's
you know, they're going
because
to be there
Saban
every year.
is
Yeah.
Belichick 2.0.
They were
Are you
born in the
calling,
same hospital,
Are you
I
calling
believe.
Saban a cheater? Is that what you're doing?
No, I didn't go the Tuck Rule route and
No, they came out of the same mold.
and the video, but he doesn't give you much. He coaches his butt off. You know he's smarter than you.
He uses what he's got.
No assistant that he's ever had coach under him has beat him.
Belichick-like, yes.
He just
Keeps
coaches his butt off, keeps his nose down,
And adapts to what he has.
And he gets the best out of the best players that he has.
No major scandals or
Nothing.
mishaps. Nothing.
Except for that big lie
I
that he
love
wasn't going
Saban.
to coach Alabama. Other than that, it's been
Yeah.
pretty clean. I'm not going to be the coach Alabama, except for when I am.
Yeah, until they offer me a lifetime
I know.
contract.
My
and I'm out.
goodness. Do his
Oh, yeah.
great grandkids have a full ride there already?
Probably.
It's like untouched. huh?
Probably so.
No matter if they can play sports or not.
Speaking of Bama, though, their quarterback situation next year is going to be very interesting because they have Tua. They have Tua's younger brother committed.
Is he a quarterback too?
He's a quarterback also,
Oh, okay.
and he's really good.
Is he maybe better?
He might be better.
What happens?
He won the state championship in Alabama this year. His whole family moved down
Oh,
to
that's right. They
Alabama.
moved to support,
And
so
his,
they left Hawaii.
his brother
yeah.
won a state championship in Alabama this year. They also have Bear Bryant's grandson
Oh man,
is a 4-star recruit,
he's.
and he's going there.
Are these recruits dipped in gold for them? Is this how
Man,
it works?
you got-
I mean, let's
And who knows what Hurts is going to do.
well, let's go back to Tua's brother. He leaves Hawaii to come to Alabama, and I'll just quarterback
runs
state
Runs
championship
his whole
here. Yeah,
state. Yeah.
I think that put him on.
Instantly.
I'm sure it was kind of a smirk when he first showed up, and it was.
Oh, you're a Hawaii kid.
Oh, great! Your brother plays for Alabama. What
Yeah.
can you do? And then he walks in
Killer.
and wins a state championship.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
And they're about the same size. I think his brother might be a little bit bigger, but
Similar, obviously, characteristics.
but he's a good one. Their quarterback situation is going to be pretty
That'll be.
legit.
It'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we haven't watched it before.
Yeah. Hey, and then real quick before we shut this down, I want to throw out Evolution Football. We have my man Matt Raymer started this thing. We've been doing it for years now, and we have a tryout going on at the indoor at Boise State.
When is that?
It's on the 12th, next Saturday.
All right.
So we have a 5th and 6th grade team, 7th and 8th grade team, and then we have a high school team.
Nice.
We got a tryout going on from 4 o'clock to 5:30 for the 5th and 6th grade and the 7th and 8th grade team. And then the high school kids tryout at 5:30.
Nice.
So 7-on-7 thing, which is a big deal in high school sports now. So we have a bunch of kids that we work out, we train them.
Well, I mean,
all the
and a
skill
couple of our
position
other
guys.
guests are coaches with you too, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Billy and Rob both
Yeah.
spoke about.
So will they be?
They'll
also
be
at the
they'll be
tryout?
in attendance.
All right, well,
Yeah, we'll be evaluating players and trying to pick some squads. The 5th and 6th grade team for sure is like our developmental. We just want kids that want to be out there and want to play hard, and we can teach them and mold them into good athletes, good players.
So what is your
mentally.
role on the Evolution team? You're a coach, DB's coach still, or wide receivers? everything?
I do it all with them.
Okay.
Matt, he's running the thing. He's the head coach, but I help train the kids. I show up at practices, and I give them everything I got. From the mental aspect of the game to just being a good human being.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because there's two aspects now. Billy mentioned that you guys have the Evolution team that's people try out to get on. But then there's also the other aspect. I believe it's called Idaho Rising Stars. Are you affiliated with
Rising
that
Stars.
situation?
Yeah,
as well?
it's all the same thing. Our Rising Stars are our young guys.
Okay.
So we do a lot of one-on-one training. We'll do team training. Matt takes them even to go get massages. He tried to teach them the other part of taking care of their body. So we try to do a lot. We
life skills too.
Yes, we have grade stipulations. So
That's
if
good.
they don't meet a certain level of GPA, if they don't act right, if they're getting in trouble in school, getting in trouble at home even with parents,
So
they
they're
can't
held-
play in
yeah.
our
Wow.
tournaments.
Most parents can't even do that. Pull their kid out of a
Listen,
sport.
man, you gotta raise these kids right.
I know,
You
it's
know?
tough
So
out there.
as a community, we're all a part of this. You know, I grew up with the village,
Yeah.
and
No, that's-
you know, you got a woman down the street that got something to say about your kid. You better figure it out because we all a community, right? So
Yeah.
we gotta raise these kids the right way. So if mom and dad don't want to do it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Accountability.
And because we do it, most of the time, parents that aren't going that direction, they get on board because they want the kid to play.
And they see results.
Yeah.
They say, oh, wow,
But
if
most
I
of the
clean my
parents, for the
shit up-
most part, are that way.
Mm-hmm.
They respect the fact that we decided to do that, and it was a good idea by Matt to add all that extra stuff on top of it because it's not just sports. I mean, I even tell my 4-year-old, you know, if you don't act right at home, you can't go swimming today.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go skiing this weekend, then act right when you go to school, act right when you're at home, treat your sister right, take care of your mom, you know. So
Well, it's also showing no matter how successful you are on the field, there's more to life than the field, and you have to be
Absolutely.
able to.
because at the end of the day, life goes on and sports end.
That's also the
That's
only
true,
way
yeah.
I can get John to do anything either is take his skis away. Threaten to take his skis away.
I'll tell you what, man, if my wife takes my snowboard away, we're going to have a whole lot going on at the house.
It's nice. All right. Well, there's one final question you usually ask. I think unless there's any other
Yeah,
business
anything
to
you
take
want to
care
throw
of.
out there? Anything you want to plug? Any shout outs? Any
Man,
special
that was
things?
my plug, Evolution Football. Also, Capitol High. Anybody want to come out and watch some great high school football? We got some good athletes. We got great coaches. We play some really good teams. Rocky Mountain High School is awesome. Mountain View High School is really good. Eagle High School in the Valley. We got Timberline High School is on the rise. They're trying to do some stuff.
Who's your rival?
My man Ian Smart's over there. Our rival is Bora.
Okay.
Bora High School has a great tradition. I mean, going back to the damn 60s, they were like ranked in the country, which a lot of people don't even realize.
That's where I kick field goals at their field,
Yeah.
just to let you know.
They have some really good players. They have some really good players. They have a kid named Austin Bolt, who's probably one of the best receivers to play in the state. He's unbelievable, and he's coming back, which I hate after coach against him again.
Okay.
But he is
Is he headed somewhere?
You're like, can these high
he go
school
anywhere he
kids
wants.
leave early?
Okay.
Can these high school kids leave early too, like the college ones?
McDaniels did.
Really?
Yeah. Reclassified.
I had no idea.
Bryce Harper, remember he left
Yeah.
to go
Went to a
play
JUCO with his
he went
brother.
JUCO senior year,
Yeah.
like so he could become
Yeah.
draft
Yeah.
eligible.
But yeah, but I just want more people to support high school sports here. That's what I really want. There's a lot of really good athletes. There's a lot of really good programs. Highland High School out east is awesome.
Okay. I'll
Coeur
take that.
d'Alene up north is really good.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, you wouldn't
They're-
think of it, but they're.
yeah.
I just
Matt
think
Hill.
of
And
Canadians.
then when we play, when the big boys play, when Capital plays Mountain View and Eagle plays Rocky, those are some big games that people need to support, you know? And even the schools that don't have as much success as us, like Skyview has a really good program. They moved up to 5A from 4A.
Do they play some of the bigger games? Do they play it at Boise State during the regular
The
season?
championship game will either be played at Holt Arena
Okay. Or not.
in Bronco Stadium.
But do they play any regular season? Did they get big
No,
enough?
we used
down
to
there?
play, the
Okay.
city teams used to play at Boise State, but now we play at Donna Larson
Boise
Park.
State kind of.
They moved us down the road to
I
Donna
see.
Larson Park
All
over
that.
there.
That's
Got to
rough
earn
on
your
the
way
blue.
on the blue,
That's
kids.
rough
Gotta earn
on the
your way.
blue.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, great high school coaches, great high school athletes.
Well, Dre, man, thanks for coming on again. We don't
Yeah.
have to end this thing, but we can
anytime,
take a break if you want.
I'll-
What do you want to do? It's up to
You
you.
can do whatever you guys want.
All right,
Your
well-
show. I'm chilling. But
Again,
yeah,
this-
we
this-
got to get more of my guys out here.
Yeah.
Tim Gilligan.
Okay. Tim.
We got to get Tim out here. When Quinn Michael comes to town, we'll have to make sure he steps foot in the building.
Wasn't he an Eagle?
Q.
Yeah,
That's gonna be difficult.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles,
He's
man.
probably down at the stadium today.
Yeah. Man, I don't love those Eagles. I
Yeah.
respect them, but I don't love them.
Yep. If we can get my man Julius Brown when he comes in town, even though he's coaching down in Texas Tech now.
Well,
What's he coach down there?
He's coaching the DBs.
All right.
Yeah.
just so you know, if you ever do talk to somebody about the show, we are extremely tech savvy and in the 21st century, and we can do phone calls on this show too.
yeah.
Maybe we should
So we
get.
can open it wide
we
up.
could
dude.
get Jason Murray even down. He's down in California doing his thing. He works
Jay
for a
Murray.
company called Iron Mountain. He's one of the top sales reps in the region down there. He's doing a great job. But me and him talk football a lot,
SoCal,
and he's from South Hills High School,
South Hills.
and he knows a lot about the sport. He's a great dude too. He'd be a good listen. We can maybe, if he doesn't come in town this fall, we can get him in on the phone lines.
You heard it, Jay Murray. Let us know. we got a phone line. We got a mixer and a
Yeah.
few microphones, and we can make it happen.
That's
Who else?
true, yeah.
So there's 4.
You know what we could really get is who's really good is Ian Smart. He's a Orange Lutheran graduate, another SoCal guy. He's the head coach at Timberline High School.
I remember Ian.
My man.
I used to watch him.
He's legit.
He came out like as a freshman, skinny like me, and ended up turning
Bulked up.
beast
Yeah.
mode.
Yep.
That guy was a defensive
Yeah.
lineman.
He went to the same high school, Austin Pettis. Orange Lutheran High School. Yep.
Isn't Austin Pettis? Doesn't he have a cut? Is Dante Pettis?
Dante Pettis
yeah,
is
he's
his cousin,
on the
yeah.
49.
Yeah,
I
from
noticed that this
UW.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That he can play.
He's fast.
He can play. But yeah, there's a lot of alumni that we've all been in town.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us never left. Some of us moved back from going away thinking we wanted to get out of the state. We decided it was probably better to come back.
Some of us just stayed low key, kind of
Yeah.
went away for a little
Right.
bit, and then
My
came
man-
out of nowhere.
My man Trent Lundeen is out here somewhere staying low key, pops up like once a year. Jeff Edwards is still in town. We still stay in touch. Bobby Hammer moved back.
Oh, Bob, man.
Yeah. Bobby that dude's a beast. He's awesome.
He's the strongest human being I've ever met in my life.
Ever.
I mean, like, he tap you on the shoulder, and you're like, man,
Ever.
I got to go get an ice
Dude's
bag on this
benching
now.
500 pounds when he was like
500. I can't even
18,
squat
19 years
500
old.
pounds.
I thought you were going to say
Stupid.
8. It's even better.
That guy was,
Yeah,
Ugh.
he was a great athlete too.
and the nicest person ever, too.
Let me tell you a small world story real quick.
Yes.
I mentioned Bobby Hammer to our defensive coordinator at Capitol, Matt Jacobson. And Matt Jacobson lived in Sacramento and Sonoma area for a long time, which is where Bobby's from.
Mm-hmm.
And he coached Bobby. Smallest world ever.
In high school?
In high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he said the same thing that you just said, and that I confirmed, like he is the strongest human being ever.
Like Bam
That's
Bam.
been confirmed.
He never tried to be that. He's just that strong.
He's born that way.
Like Bam
And
Bam
then when he
on
started
the
working out,
Flintstones.
it got scarier.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. And he has really long arms. Remember that reach he had to?
If he wanted to, he could have been one of
Yeah.
those guys you watched on ESPN doing all those strongman competitions.
Same thing with
flipping the
or in the
tires, pulling the
NFL,
cars,
right?
lifting rocks 5 feet in the air. Like, dude is nuts.
You think if Bobby like really had the drive to make the NFL, like he could have made. Same thing with Paul Allen.
strength-wise, there's
Same-
no question.
Same thing with Paul Allen.
No question. Yeah.
Another guy that on our D line that just would rather hunt and fish and pull
A lot of
line
guys.
for Idaho Power.
Yeah.
That's all they want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's why I reiterate, like, when I coach about kids just being good people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't aspire to be a pro athlete. Some people use college and athletes as a vehicle to go through college and use the network to do something. Because at the end of the day, Father Time wins.
Mm-hmm.
Either your career is over after high school or it's over after college, or if you're lucky enough to have a pro career, when it ends, you still got a whole long life ahead after that.
Yeah.
So you building a network and being a good person will go a long way, you know what I mean? Whether it's your education or a trade that you learn or just knowing the right people to get you involved in something, and you don't have enemies. You got people that want to be around you, that will allow you to be around. You know what I mean? So you got to get your grades up as a kid and just do right by the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have? Just one real quick question, because I've dabbled in tutoring, education kind of a little bit. I just want to throw this out there officially. Like if you guys have kids that need math, science, tutoring, things like that, like I'd be more than happy to help out. If you guys, we
have a few teachers
Yeah.
at Capitol that go above and beyond to help kids out.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely throw that
Yeah.
out there because there's never enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't get enough education. There's there's not enough teachers, honestly.
Yeah, kids, he'll teach you how to be an engineer, okay?
No, not an engineer.
Pays well.
I'm not that good at
It does
engineering.
pay well.
I passed all the classes. I just don't know how to land myself in that scenario at this moment.
Oh, we'll work on that. I got some engineer friends we'll have to plug.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you. That'd be great,
Yeah.
man. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. We're at the very least going to take a little break right now because everyone's got to go to the bathroom and
It
all
might
that
be
stuff.
the end. It might be the middle.
I don't know.
gonna
Here,
say thanks?
choose your own adventure.
All right.
We'll find
Yeah.
out later.
All right, thanks, Andre.
Thanks,
All
Dre.
right.
No
Appreciate
problem,
it, buddy.
man.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me, guys.
All right.
You bet. Anytime.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bronco Alumni Show, a Rossburn production on the Suds Sports Network. Special thanks to our sponsors, Ross and Bernie, and all the staff down at Suds. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. Big shout out to my lovely fiance Kirsten and to my parents, Dan and Jeannie Turner. I love all you guys. As always, thank you to my co-host John and his wife Sarah. Andre Banks, what a great conversation. Thank you for your time. And finally, thank you, Bronco family. Bleed blue.
Thank you for listening to the Bronco Alumni Show on the Sud Sports Network. Executive produced by Ross Kelly and Scott Burney. Hosted by Jason Turner and John Hanigan. Written and directed by John Hanigan. Produced, engineered, and willed into existence by Jason Turner, with a special thanks to Nick Cook.